obviously I've noticed Destiny has not spoken publicly about this now.
He's a little weaselly.
I said this the other night, but he's in a position to seriously fuck my image up or Dr. K's image up. I mean, whichever way he leans on this is going to have pretty serious repercussions for whoever he leans against.
Steven wants to come on.
Hey, okay, Dan lies. Okay, Dan is like, based on the little bit that I know, and I very cautiously say this because I hate. That super depends on what you're talking about.
I don't think it does.
Wait a minute.
I don't think.
You know, I've tried to get Destiny to take strong commitments on this, and he just won't do it. You notice that as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I've noticed Destiny has not spoken publicly about this now.
He's a little weaselly. A little weaselly.
I reject the characterization of it as weaselly. I think that I said this the other night, but he's in a position to seriously fuck my image up or Dr. K's image up. I mean, whichever way he leans on this is going to have pretty serious repercussions for whoever he leans against, I think.
I believe, I don't want to speak for the man, but I have talked to him about it quite a bit, is I believe that he's one of those net gooders. God, I hate to say it. It breaks my fucking heart. He's one of those goddamn bastards that thinks that this kid getting a heart, even though they were an addict, is a good thing. You know what? It's just he thinks there's a net good there. That's my gut of it. He, probably shouldn't be happening. I don't think it's good, but overall, I think he's doing more harm than more good than harm. I think that's probably what we're gonna get out of him. Breaks my heart to say it.
I'll be happy to argue if that is the case, but I think I don't know. If it were me, I would probably have trouble coming down strong on it.
Coming down strong on what?
Just because it's very close to him in multiple ways. I just think that
the thing is,
it's not going to be as easy. He's waiting.
He's more sneaky than he lets on. Hard to say. Hard to say.
If he is waiting, he's the waiting is helping me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I can only assume the silence is being read by Dr. K as not favorable to him. But I don't know.
Let me think. So, I think his views. He's said it before in the past pretty clearly. Like, this probably shouldn't be happening on Twitch. Yeah, this probably is not okay to have happening on Twitch.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to find him far short of ever saying that Dr. K is culpable for anything having to do with Reckful's death. I think you'll never catch him.
But he has a very
close to that.
Yeah. But he has a very self-deterministic view. I guess just in general. I think if you kill yourself,
Steven wants to come on. Would you like to speak with him?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Steven, you have to join Mr. Girl's Discord. Let me see if I can get you up. Does he have your here? Let me right click his name. And, how do I do this? Hold on. I sent him an invite. And
me too. Destiny wants in.
How excited are you? Is your heart pumping a little bit? He's a dangerous man. I say a lot of men are dangerous.
You do. No, I feel like I don't want to speak for him, but I also don't want to.
I'll speak for him.
I don't want to pussy out of.
He's been going by Plat 2 lately. New nickname he's trying out. He doesn't like Destiny because it's kind of like a little stripperish, and he's trying to. He thought Plat 2, you know, because there's like a rapper called Plat 1, so it's Plat 2. Anyways, let's see. Where is he?
I don't know how to put him in the chat.
He has to join a voice chat, and then you drag him.
Oh yeah. Are there any open voice chats that he can join? Oh,
hey. What's up, killer?
Hey, okay, Dan lies. Okay, Dan is like 80% irony. I don't know if you realize that yet. Okay, don't listen to a lot of what this guy says. He'll get you in trouble.
Okay, go ahead. Say what you're really thinking then.
Yeah, I haven't given an opinion on it because I played like 250 games of League the past 7 days. Okay, that's my life right now. Is the grind of Diamond. Okay, that's why I haven't given any strong comments or opinions. That has nothing to do with like, oh, I'm so scared because Dr. K is so good for the community, but I don't give a fuck about any of that, okay? I've given my position on it before. Me and Max have talked about it off stream privately before. I think a few days ago we did. So it's not like, if he came away from that conversation thinking that I have like some type of like ideological like commitment to Dr. K or whatever, that would be strange to me. I just haven't watched it yet, so I don't give opinions on things that I haven't watched fully. Is that okay, Dan?
Oh, sorry. No, are you done? Are you done with the memes? Because I believe the exact quote from when we did it was, I asked you, I think verbatim, should he be doing this on Twitch? And you said, no, probably not. But I think overall he's doing good. We can go watch that exactly if you want.
Was this before or after I watched any large video?
This was like a week ago.
Wait, who are you talking to?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, it sounded like you were responding to the question, how long ago did I say this? But nobody asked that question, so I'm not sure you were responding. Let me try one more time. Okay. Was this before or after I watched Max's video on Dr. K?
I don't think you watched his video, according to you.
Good job! Yeah, that's right! So I don't have any opinion on that video or anything related to that video yet. I just don't. I haven't seen enough.
Do you think that his videos... Okay, well maybe his video will change everything for you.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It might. Well, I haven't given an opinion on it yet, Dan.
What's your opinion now on Dr. K, Steven, from what you know? I expect that Mr. Girl's
based on the little bit that I know, and
the little bit that
very cautiously say this, because I hate giving incomplete accounts of things. Based on a little bit I know, I still feel like overall he does a net good for Twitch, but holy damn, does he have like some very huge conflict of interest going on in his business that are, I'll say, questionable at best, and maybe, I don't know if I'd say malicious at worst, but like bordering on really, really, really bad stuff. There's a lot of very bad conflict of interest type stuff going on, I think. I think that everything that he does is okay in terms of the promotion of his business and everything, but when he starts personally counseling the most popular people on Twitch who also happen to support his coaching, I think there's a lot of weird conflicts there that start to pop up that probably aren't good. But I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't feel that strongly once I see them in context or something. I'm not sure. Not to say that Max taken out of context. I mean in the context of Max's video. Yeah.
Do you feel like that the net good is the bottom line for you?
Well, the net good is the bottom line for everybody. Yeah, of course.
Not for me.
Oh well. I mean, if we're talking like medical ethics and stuff, I would assume that we're generally looking at like what's best for everybody involved.
Yeah, but I don't know on a case-by-case basis. So, like, the example, the counter-argument I've been giving to this is if you do 10,000 successful brain surgeries, is it okay for you to rape one of your patients? Like, I would say that person should lose their license.
Yeah, but the difference is that rape isn't a necessary part of doing brain surgery.
Right? I don't think that the conflicts of interest are a necessary part of Dr. K's therapy, and I don't think that's
probably not. Yeah, I don't think so. But at the very least, like, it's in a way of like advertising for it. So there might be an argument there that it's part of what he does. Not to say that it's good, not to say that he should do it, not to say there aren't other ways that he could do it. But like,
okay, so
the rape thing is totally detached, like, from brain surgery, or at least that's my understanding of brain surgery. It doesn't involve rape usually.
Okay, so when you're not usually, so when your league bender is over, and you watch the video, one of the things you'll be watching for will be, are the ethical violations in any way tied to the net good or progress that you feel like he's bringing to Twitch.
Okay. Yeah, I'm almost, my guess is gonna be that's almost for sure gonna be no, but... Or like, I don't know why he needs to give therapy to like big streamers or whatever to advertise for his stuff or whatever. I'm not sure why he would need to.
I don't know why he needs to be a streamer himself.
Well, because he's the head of the business. That's his like most valuable position, right?
I know, but if you... Right, but like if you're... He could just be a therapist that helps out streamers and goes on their streams and raises awareness that way. It doesn't have to also be a streamer to do that. That's like adding an extra layer of like, I also...
Would you really care though? I feel like if that was the case, we'd still have the same issues. Like, okay, yeah, sure, he just goes on other people's streams, but the only reason he says that is so that he has this plausible deniability that he's advertising for his own stuff, right? Like,
sure. I would, but it would remove one conflict of interest, at least. I mean, there's like 5, so that would be one of them. I mean, I wouldn't be okay with any of this unless he went to a review board and like said, hey, I want to do a research project to see if this is safe for people, and then like did it as a project. Like that would be fine. But one thing I'm trying to push back on a lot is the idea that Dr. K is breaking these rules as part of his innovation. And I'm trying to show that you know, some of the stuff that happened with Recful has nothing, they're not therapy techniques. They're just mistakes. Or like I guess you have to see the video, but like he pressed Yvonne to name her sexual abuser like publicly in front of everybody for like quite a long time. It's like that has nothing to do with, that's not a therapy technique. That's not your innovation. So, but his response is definitely to spin what I'm saying as like I just don't understand, or these rules are unfairly being applied to this like new process that he is doing, which isn't therapy. It's the AoE healing.
So what's the thing that you wish he wasn't doing? Say that. Sorry, say that one more time.
I wish he were not having blurry doctor-patient relationships. That's probably the worst one, is that people don't know if he's their doctor. So he's practicing medicine outside of a doctor-patient relationship and doing therapy outside of a doctor-patient relationship.
Sure. Do you think, in your honest opinion, do you think that any amount of... Do you think it's possible for somebody to even consent to that interaction, regardless of the disclaimers and everything beforehand, or...?
No. Do you? Certainly not somebody like Recful, but basically no.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the person. Like, for an average person with, like, average problems, probably. For somebody with, like, a more severe background, maybe not. I guess that would be very individualized. But if it varies from person to person, then the answer we would give is just probably no, right? Like, there are probably some 16-year-olds that can consent to sexual activity with adults, but we don't really know which ones, and it's not really possible to figure it out, so we just kind of say blanket, like, no, okay, we're just going to say no for all of these people until they're of a certain age, right?
Right, yeah, and, like, if you were in charge of like dentists, would you be like, if you need to like poke around somebody's teeth with instruments, but you need to say that it's not dental care, here's like a contract you can have them sign to make so that, you know, you're not held responsible for anything that happens while you're doing that. Like, what is the point of that? Like, just don't allow it. I feel like that's the simplest solution.
Maybe, yeah.
Unless it's triage or an emergency, which you are.
I wonder if this is comparable. Are you familiar with the practice? So this is something I've heard a lot of doctors do. Are you familiar with doctors that will give sample drugs to people if they can't afford them?
Yeah.
But they don't actually, sometimes they won't write the prescription, or if they do, they know the person can't afford it, or this isn't like marked by insurance or whatever. Do you think that's ethical, or do you think that's unethical? Or do you think it's not at all comparable to this?
I think it's not comparable, because the inconvenience in establishing a doctor-patient relationship with Recful would fall on Dr. K. It would be like, he would have to, like, he could have just said, hey, listen, I can see that you need help, and I want to help you, and in order to help you, we need to do it off stream, and I need to get licensed in Texas. So that's going to take me a couple weeks, but I'm gonna, you know, I'm coming. I'm gonna be there. We'll do video sessions, and I'm gonna see this through and pull you out of this, because, you know, I'm really worried about you. And like, I don't think it's comparable because the barriers to prevent him from helping these people are actually not that like big.
If he wanted to do it the right way.
Yeah, and I think that therapy is not something that works in like a little sample packet. I think it needs to be an ongoing relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's almost for sure true. Although Dr. K kind of sells it as like a I fix. Well, I don't know if I'd say he sells it, but like it seems like
yes,
like,
it feels. I call it like a magic show, but it appears as though he has made a drastic emotional or psychological difference in somebody over the course of an hour.
Okay. Well, wait. What else? Do you need my opinion on anything else, or? What about you, Dan? How are you feeling about this?
Well, actually, I have a question. How culpable do you think Dr. K is for what happened to Reckful, Steven?
I would say probably not much. Like I said, I think even me and Melina said privately, I think like this is a guy that's probably gonna kill himself pretty soon. Like I think everybody kind of felt that way because his ups and downs were insane. But I think that the more interesting thing to focus on, and again, I think me and Max talked about this privately. It's not. I think that it's a bad conversation to get into a did Reckful kill himself because of Dr. K? But more rather like, was there a potential conflict of interest here that shouldn't have existed that like a more responsible party would have addressed beforehand? I think that would have been a better. I think that's a better question to ask rather than like, did Dr. K kill Reckful or Reckful died with him? I think. Yeah.
There's a moment. It's in the video where Reckful's saying, he's like, I want a friend. And Dr. K's saying, I don't know if I'm your friend or your therapist or, and like, we don't need to figure that out right now. And Reckful's like, no, I want to get this resolved. I don't like that this is like the tension of not knowing. And he said, I want a friend, but I'll have friends. So I think what I need is a therapist. And then Dr. K just changes the subject. And it's never addressed and never resolved, and then they just like stop streaming together. And it just that feels like a moment where he's literally saying he needs a mental health professional to like help him, and he's just not doing it.
Yeah, I understand, but like the problem is that he doesn't actually want a therapist, because if he does, he would just go get one, right? Reckful had enough money that if he really wanted a therapist, it was always available to him, right? There is no barrier there for him.
It's not. I'm not focused so much on that side of it, but on what is Dr. K's duty in that moment when somebody's, in dire straits telling you they need a therapist.
Well, I mean, from Dr. K's perspective, it's probably like, well, I could either, radiact him, or I could try to find him somebody else, but then Reckful just goes back to square one, right? Like, he's just going to be back where he was before, no?
I think he has a duty in that moment to.
Yeah, I understand talking. The duty is the duty part is very boring, dry, and not very human though, right? Because the duty part is basically just saying, okay, Reckful, like go fuck yourself, kill yourself, bye. Like that's the duty part. Well, that's what he should have said. He should have said,
no,
you go kill yourself,
no.
That when you tell him to go get a therapist, that's what you're essentially saying, right?
No, not at all. You could spend much more time with him offline, saying, hey, listen, I know you trust me. And I'm going to find you a therapist that can work with you. I'm going to refer you to another doctor. And also, you just said that the question isn't so much of is he culpable or what would Reckful have done anyway. It's is he displacing other care that he could get? Is there somebody else more responsible?
Yeah, but that's the whole point. That's why I'm saying building it all on Reckful particularly is so bad, because Reckful had already gone through the system multiple times and didn't want to go through it again. So the idea that there's some displacement happening there doesn't seem very likely.
But if somebody's on their last thread and this is the last kind of time they're willing to reach out for help, having somebody that hand that they grab tell them, I'm gonna love you for 2 years. Like, just kidding, never mind. He grabbed the worst possible hand he could have grabbed, and that the culpability is there, I think. Then that's not to say that it would or would not have happened without him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's negligent. It's negligent to, when somebody is in dire straits and they're reaching out with their last breath for help, to do what Dr. K did. and I see culpability there. It's not a projection into a hypothetical of what would have happened if he had done things differently. It's that he did things the wrong way, expressly the wrong way.
Okay.
Steve, what do you think the odds are of something happening with Dr. K is losing his license or getting forced off Twitch?
I mean, my guess would be very, 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 very low.
Like what? Like I'm 10% assuming, or like 20
like
or what?
less than 10, like almost nothing. My guess would be, because his wife and him seem pretty business savvy, that they should have cleared this all ahead of time. He's got a huge operation, right? We're talking like, don't they have over 100 coaches?
The mistakes he's making are mistakes he's making in the spur of the moment, though. There's no way to clear ahead. Like, there's no way he said, like, hey, can I have someone I meet with for 8 hours, and at the end of 4 sessions they still don't know if I'm their doctor? Like, there's no way he asked that of anybody.
Probably not. But like,
if his license gets revoked, it'll be because of that.
Yeah, but like the space is like so new, and like what is entertainment and what is therapy, and all of these things are like so blurry right now. It seems like, and then the fact that they can point to, like, we've got 100 people. I'm sure they've got some documented conversations with some board. I would be shocked if that hadn't happened, that they've just tried to skirt all of this by without talking to any kind of legal professional at all. That would be shocking to me. But
the proposal was probably, if they did a real proposal, there's no way they said, we're going to have extended conversations with people who don't know if they are our patients. There's no way. Nobody approved that. I can.
No, but it might have been like a hypothetical conversation. Could have been like, oh, like these are things that we're probably discussing like in a live stream environment or whatever. Like we'll probably talk about some of the things we do with our coaching, in this case or in that case, and is that okay? And even if how the conversations turned out, even if they aren't okay, if they have some documentation there that they tried to clear something beforehand, I would be shocked if the medical board was like, oh, you did this wrong. Now we're like revoking everything. You're fucked.
I think you should prepare yourself to be shocked.
Well, I don't have to prepare myself either way because I don't care that much. But I would just be, it would surprise me if, if it went like so much radically differently. But I mean, I think it's possible.
For what it's worth, I think there's only one way, and this is like a big if, that this can exist legally on Twitch, and that's almost in a format that, dare I say, kind of like borrows from Jerry Springer, and that is a lot of legal paperwork before you come on the first time, and for the most part, you only come on once. And I think that's like the only way that this could even remotely happen. Do you agree with that, Max, or do you think that this is even that is not possible? And if so, what's the difference between?
Oh yeah, I think only coming on once for sure sets a clearer expectation than connotation. But even in one conversation, the idea that he's saying like, I'm going to try to treat your depression over the course of this conversation, it still comes to me comes across as a therapy session or a medical conversation. And then saying at the end, yeah, contact me if you want to talk about this more. I just don't think there's any way or any disclaimer that frames this in a way that's going to be allowed. So you think it's next to nothing? I'm at 80%.
Well, I'm not saying there won't be any action at all. I would just be surprised if it says nuclear is like his license gets revoked. Like
80% license gets revoked.
So you would bet 4 to 1 odds on, like if I said like, I'll bet you $100, and if I'm right, you need $400 or whatever. You would be that confident then.
I mean, I would bet $20. $5.
Okay, let's bet that. I'll bet.
All right. All right, brother.
It's gonna be a. What's the time frame we're talking? You guys have to have a time frame to do that. You can't just leave it open ended because then neither of you are collecting from the other. So when.
Oh no, they'll. I think when the investigation's closed, they have to send the limit. They'll let us know.
Well, what is that time frame? I mean, that could be years, right?
As long as it's. I mean, I'm about to send them like 150.
I'm just trying to imagine some
full of footage, so I don't know.
Some poor bastard at the fucking Massachusetts, fucking medical board or whatever gets a fucking giant fucking rambling schizo email with 1,000 fucking YouTube links. It's like, hey, this guy is abusing people. Do something.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I assume they have to do a certain amount of diligence on any email that comes in.
I believe so. Yeah. Well, they don't have an email address, but I have to go
Yeah, some Pepe Sylvia shit. Yeah, sure. Man. What other pertinent perks are there? Let me think here. So, how many people have gone on multiple times, and is that something he doesn't do anymore? What has he changed that he used to do it?
That's Steven and Melina have both been on. The more famous the person is, the more likely he is to say, and if you want to continue talking about this privately, shoot me a DM.
You know, what do you know about the, and this is maybe something he's trying to diminish, but what do you know about the, how do you pronounce it? Ayurveda or whatever?
Ayurveda.
Ayurveda. So, when I looked into this, this was just, it's homeopathy, but with lead. Am I missing something? What?
I don't know. I didn't look into it too much because it's not.
I agree. It's a weak attack, but
exactly. It's not illegal. Like, it's weird, but it's not against the law the way the other shit is.
Well, it's just, you know, not a good look, I guess. Oh, one thing I did want to ask is, I should ask my wife this too, but do psychologists and psychiatrists have unlimited freedom to introduce religious matters into their treatment? Like, if you're coming to see me, can I just like start talking about Jesus?
Yeah,
and why that's the answer?
The guideline is you need to ask the patient if they're comfortable.
Wait, what was that last question?
If you want to talk about religion with a patient, with a therapy patient, you have to ask them if they're comfortable with it. I think that's the guidance.
Oh yeah, I don't think you need like anything signed or whatever, but I think normally the therapist will bring it up like in the first session. Hey, I talk about this a lot, and I won't if you are.
But yeah, that's one of my problems with Slush's videos. He doesn't seem to understand the like different level of seriousness.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, I feel like the response video he put out, I said this before, but it was absolutely like nothing. Just pure shitty PR that addresses nothing, says nothing. And I wonder if he'll be forced, if there's any type of social momentum that continues as a result of this, to actually give a real fucking response of, hey, why do people think that you're their therapist? What's going on there? But you know, hey, listen, never discount being able to set, you know, the public tone on something. It's the reason that like Trump has been able to do so much of what he's been able to do. So
never discount the power of the raps.
Yeah, sure.
There are a lot of comparisons to Trump that I see here, where
fake it till you make it.
I think if he's not like forced,
if
he's not forced to go public with anything, it wouldn't surprise me also if he's not going to make a serious statement. Why would he just, if he actually does like a serious, formal address of the way about like,
yeah, I mean, he pretended to. I mean, he put out a video just titled Ethics today and sort of talked around them that he did not actually address it. But he pretended. I think he's satisfied his fans somewhat where they feel like he did.
Maybe, I guess. I haven't looked at his stuff, but
what are the thing that almost seems more fucked up to me is the fucking coaching thing in general. Like some dude with like 10 hours of teaching is gonna like make, I don't know. I don't know what they do in it though, so maybe I shouldn't say too much, but that almost seems pretty risky as well, as they say in the business.
Yeah, I'm researching it. It's not nearly as bad as the early relationships, but it does, again, create like a conflict of interest where it's just a big messy situation where your fans are watching these therapy sessions, but then they're also your coaches, and then they're also your clients, and it's all like mixed together. But not nearly as bad as the Dr. K.
Can you rank the worst things about Dr. K for you?
Well, no, I mean, he's really close to coming.
No, what's number one?
Yeah.
Well, hey, and by the way,
take you over the edge here, Dan. I got you.
I've been edging on this for like 2 years or however long it's been on the platform.
Ethically worst.
Go ahead. Number one.
Ethically worst.
Top 10 worst things.
No doctor-patient relationships. Telling Red Bull that I don't know how seriously the board is going to take that on its own, but within the context of no doctor-patient relationship, I think they're kind of pretty big problem. Dual relationships where people are his colleagues but also his patients, or coworkers, or whatever you are on Twitch. Taking the $3,000 donation from Lily Pichu after doing a private stream with her. Diagnosing Redfall with BPD, but half diagnosing him, like with diagnosing with a caveat, live. After telling him it's not a medical conversation, it violates his privacy, it violates informed consent. You're not allowed to diagnose people if they're not your patient. So that breaks like 3 rules at the same time. He's breaking the law by practicing in places he's not licensed, but that's not really an ethical issue. But it might be one of the more things that brings one of the more serious consequences. I'm not sure. Oh, and then yeah, another confidentiality thing is pushing Yvonne to talk to spill who groped her. While in a conversation that he says is not therapy, and then is asking probing personal questions, trying to get her to divulge. Like, that's so fucked up. I don't think there's even a rule specifically that it's breaking, but they're definitely not going to like it. I'd say those are the top
14.
Yeah, something like that. And none of them have anything to do with an innovative new way to practice mental health care.
Is it normal for, like, the Harvard thing is a little weird, right? The wearing a Harvard hoodie when you didn't go to school there? Or is that, like, normal if you, like,
I don't know. Some people said that he's spinning his credentials by... clearly most of his fans think he went to Harvard Medical, and I don't. And, like, I don't know if it's on him to point that out that he didn't. But I think that they're not going to like that he's wearing their hoodie while doing the things he was doing.
Because I'd always thought Harvard trained. I just assumed that he went to school there, not he did like a workshop or whatever it is or whatever.
He did his residency at Mass General, which is the Harvard-affiliated hospital, but he did not go to his undergrad. I mean, not undergrad. He didn't go to med school at Harvard. Yeah, he went to Tufts. But yeah, they're not gonna like again. It just adds to the confusion about it. Are you a doctor? Are you doing doctor shit because you're called Dr. K and you're wearing your Harvard medical or hospital hoodie from like the psychiatric hospital?
He has a doctor. He does have like a. He finished his like medical school and residency and all that, right?
Yeah, he's licensed.
Yeah, okay.
He's a licensed physician.
Is he a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
He's a psychiatrist.
He's a psychiatrist.
Psychologists are typically not physicians. They don't go to med school or anything usually.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay.
They're not physicians. They can't write prescriptions. They can't write like SSRIs. They can't write psychotics. I was curious actually about the net good type of defense that I'm seeing with Dr. K. I'm curious if we would use this type of defense in any other area of medicine.
Probably not, but I think that psychology and therapy are very unique, and that the way that they're like everybody practices them, whereas with other forms of medicine, very few people practice them. So like I think Max, I think we talked about this on the phone. Like one example would be like what if somebody wanted to perform surgery on a friend or whatever, but they didn't have like a doctor-patient relationship? Like, would that be unethical? Well, what's the difference between that and therapy? The difference is that normal people don't ever perform surgery on their friend, ever. Like, you need training for that. But like, everybody is a therapist, right? Your mom is your therapist. Sometimes a friend can be a therapist, a boss, a coworker. So I think that it makes it like a lot more confusing to figure out what's okay or what's not okay.
It could make it confusing on one end, when somebody is already your friend or family member and you find yourself slipping into a doctor-patient relationship with them. But it's not confusing when someone is introduced to you as not your friend. They're a complete stranger, and every conversation you have with them is a conversation about their mental health symptoms and how you're going to treat them.
Sure, I don't necessarily disagree. I'm not trying to cover for Dr. K. I'm just saying that like the comparisons to other forms of medicine are it's totally different. It's just, therapy and psychology are just they're way softer areas where like everybody practices these things.
So I can grant that there's components. Therapy is a gray.
Avi has joined the chat.
Yeah, and I can grant that therapy has gray areas to it. I mean, there's components of therapy that are in everyday life, and there's components of everyday life that are in therapy. But I do think that there's clear areas on either end of the spectrum there. It's not as much of a gray area as something like surgery or prescribing a medication to a patient. But when you step into a very clear area, like, okay, wait a minute. You know, this is clearly therapy, and it's the type of therapy that you wouldn't expect an everyday person or a family member or a friend to be able to provide you or even know how to do, and be able to effectively do it or successfully delve in and push all the right buttons, get all the right triggering, and have someone just break down and reveal all their childhood trauma and everything. Yeah, there's vagueness to it, but that doesn't mean we can't say that, okay, well, you've clearly stepped out of the vague zone here. Like, you're in the clear area, and you're clearly doing the type of therapy that a psychiatrist does on the couch.
Yeah, I think so. Like, my question in general then is, it seems like basically all forms of like quote unquote life coaches can basically double as therapists, or it would seem like it would be really hard to figure out what is or isn't. What's the difference between a life coach and a therapist?
Well,
now, I think based on what the one guy was saying to Max is that, like, well, if they start to present you with problems that you don't feel like you can address, or it's outside the boundaries of what you do, then you're supposed to like refer them to real help or tell them to get real help that you can't help with certain problems. But I mean, like, nobody's gonna pay money to a life coach that can't help you out if you're feeling sad sometimes, right? And what's the difference between feeling sad sometimes and being depressed, right? What's the difference between like your mom and dad die or something in a horrible accident while you're depressed, you need a therapist? Like that, these questions are very, very, very difficult to answer, I feel. Not all the time. There might be some clear breaches where like this is clearly wrong. But I think that in general, I think that there can be a lot of like gray area.
If you're an MD, when you have a conversation that is therapy, you're practicing medicine. And if you're just a life coach,
well, no, that's not true. Wait, what you just said is not true at all.
It is true. When you
there needs to be way more qualifiers, right? Like if you're an MD and a friend is like, God, fuck, like I feel like so depressed lately, like what do you think I should do? Like my, blah blah blah. Just because you start talking to them, you haven't entered into a parent or like a doctor-patient relationship. That's
absolutely, yeah, you're right. But if you are doing therapy, you are practicing medicine. So anytime you're doing therapy, you're practicing medicine. So I'm saying that I'm not defining.
Well, that's the question. What is defining? What is?
Right, yeah.
Right, but I'm just trying to draw.
I'm
trying to draw a distinction between a life coach. A life coach is just having a conversation at all times. So whether they're talking to their friend, or they're talking to somebody they don't know, or a client, or whoever, it is always just a conversation. It's coaching. It's not regulated. once you have an MD and you are a psychiatrist, then when you do therapy with a stranger, you are practicing medicine in that moment. And so the differentiation between, is this person my patient or is this person not my patient, that responsibility falls on you to define all of your relationships as either doctor-patient or not doctor-patient relationships. And so
yeah, I think that's probably fair. Yeah.
If you're in the gray area between those two, then you're breaking the rule.
I mean, whether or not a rule is broken is, I guess, up for the ethics people to decide, right? But if you are a doctor, especially when you're being introduced to strangers, right? Like people like Reckful, this isn't like somebody that you have a personal friendship with or whatever. I mean, I would agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. And
yes,
the converse. Sorry, go ahead.
Because he doesn't present himself as like, hey, I am Mr. K, I do life coaching or whatever. It's, I am Dr. K, a Harvard-trained psychologist who does these things, and I'm going to talk to you about your very personal problems and your suicidal blah, 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 and our relationship is going to be for you. Yeah, of course. It's way more murky at that point,
Yeah, there's certainly murky areas between, okay, I don't know, I haven't delineated what, the exact bounds of a life coach is, when that ends and when therapy begins. There may be some crosstalk overlap, I'm sure there is. My only point is that if there is an area where it's clearly therapy and not life coaching, and I'm sure there is, if
sure.
someone's diagnosing and treating, that's therapy that a psychiatrist is doing. I'm sure there's a clear, to the degree that someone is in that area, my only point is that this person's doing more good, they're a net good, I don't think we would expect that in any other area of medicine, so long as they are in the clear area that what they are doing is what a psychiatrist is doing.
I mean, almost for sure, yeah. I would imagine that's probably the case, yeah.
Okay, cool. So the question here is one of the questions at least is what Dr. K has been doing or at least in some instances, is in the clear area of, well, actually, the things you may say they're not therapy, but it's clear the type of thing you're doing is clearly in that area where this is a therapy, and this is the type of therapy that a psychiatrist is doing.
Yeah, and the idea saying it's not therapy as a defense is flawed, because what it needs to be is it clearly therapy or clearly not therapy?
Yeah,
and
for
it needs
sure.
it needs to be one
fuzzy,
of the two. Right.
Because if it's not defined, then you're in the wrong. If it is defined, then you're in the right.
Exactly.
But if it's fuzzy, you're still in the wrong 100%. You're not kind of wrong and kind of right. It's whether right or wrong is a binary for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a separate point. So yeah, you definitely, that's an issue of like, okay, well, you're just not doing a good job at clarifying your role here, and you need to do that. Mm-hmm. That's a separate criticism from the criticism, okay, it's not just that you didn't clarify your role, you haven't just failed at that. You haven't clarified your role, and the role that you were playing was clearly a therapist role that a psychiatrist filled. And we wouldn't accept that in any other area of medicine. Like that's a separate criticism. So there's two potential issues.
I don't know if that's. I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that. I'm also playing League, so my brain is not at 100%. So here's just a question. I'm curious.
Did you get Diamond yet?
Don't shut the fuck up. Now you're. Let's say that you're like let's say that you work for like Doctors Without Borders or some shit, and you've got like patients that you're trying to help in like poor countries that can't afford medicine or some shit like that, right? We spin off some example like this, and these people don't have the resources. You don't have like the proper doctor-patient relationships or whatever. Do you think that people trying to do what they can in these circumstances just shouldn't, if they feel like, well, hey, if I don't step in and do something, even if I can't get proper clearance, even if I can't do everything properly, like if I don't do anything, these people are fucked. Do you think that these people have any leeway, or would you say, well, no, like I understand you want to help, but like these rules are in place for a reason?
Well, I do think the rules are in place for a reason, but I could also imagine that there are always going to be certain extenuating circumstances that may present themselves to try and to try to justify to violate a rule. I'm just not clear on how that's the case in this situation. I mean, you could try to make certain cases like, oh, Reckful, you know, you could say, and you make certain true statements like Reckful, you know, has gone through the system, he's not had
Yeah,
any,
that's always going to be the argument, is that Reckful, you
Yeah.
know, has been bounced by the system before, and he's not going to go back, basically, right?
Yeah. Now, that typically doesn't, that kind of thing, I'll just tell you the way it pans out here, that typically doesn't fly for, the way that would be handled is generally just no. That if you violated the rules, you violated the rules. Are there.
Well, so this is the part that I would push back on.
You. Yeah, that's not my. Yeah, I'll push back on that too. Yeah.
Well, because the weird thing is that like I just don't think anything is typical about any of the online shit. Like I think everything here is like super hazy and weird. In terms of like what's okay, what's not okay.
The answer to it is that there is an alternative. Well, yeah, I don't. Well, he's not. What do you mean when you say he's typical?
He just, I think there are probably a lot of psychiatric patients who have a history of suicide attempts, who really are afraid to see a therapist, and who may or may not have borderline personality disorder. So I mean typical in the sense of like, not so unique that the doctor-patient relationship rule needs to be suspended for his care.
Well, here's the major where it's all going to come down to. Like in the example of the Doctors Without Borders, even then there's clear instances of establishing doctor-patient relationship. It's not as codified as it may be in the United States, where there's better ways of doing it. It may not be as clear, but there's some effort that's made. It's not you don't go. Doctors Without Borders don't treat patients and be like, oh well, maybe I'm your doctor, maybe I'm not your doctor. Doctors Without Borders don't go to even in those cases they don't. Fail to clarify the role, and then do things that are clearly doctor things while not clarifying the role, and then saying that they never entered a doctor-patient relationship to begin with. So even in that case, So the things I'm not seeing that are necessary here are, I'm not seeing that it was necessary to do those kind of things, to make those type of violations in order to help Reckful. There are avenues of and look, let me just say, I think there is a huge demand for what Dr. K is doing. I think that there's this void that's
because it seems like everything on like the life coaching side or whatever, everything that I've heard, I don't know if Max is different, or if you've heard something or if it's covered in your video, I haven't, but I haven't heard any complaints about like the actual services that his coaching people provide. Like that seems to be like pretty well received from at least people in my community that I've talked to about it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a huge unmet.
Sorry, go
ahead. So yeah, I mean, look, he asked you if you felt any differently, Max, about.
Like, do you think
about
that, assuming Dr.
K,
putting Dr. K aside, do you think that like the Healthy Gamer, like the whole life coaching stuff, you heard like bad things about that, or do you think that's for the most part okay?
Yeah, so I'm talking to 5 current and past Healthy Gamer coaches who all reached out to me of their own accord. Mm-hmm. Some to defend Dr. K, most not. There are a few weird things going on there. One, the website still in some areas refers to it as mental health care. It advertises a reduction in depression and anxiety by like 45% or something. But then it said, the website also says this is not to treat depression or anxiety.
But all these words are used as like the same shit, unfortunately.
Exactly. And then this is also presented as research. So they're doing intake surveys and then surveys when you finish. And the difference between the surveys, I think, is being calculated into how effective it was, and then this is being presented as research, which is a bit shoddy. I think Avi will probably agree to call that.
For research, you need IRB approval, you need informed consent. I mean, it's just.
When you become a Healthy Gamer coach, you have to sign a contract that says that if you quit within a year, you have to do 10 to 12 weeks of unpaid training. And if you break your contract within a year, they can charge you up to $50,000 retroactively for that training.
Okay. I don't know if that's normal or abnormal for those areas.
What's abnormal about it is that it's proprietary Healthy Gamer training. So
so it's not like there's no carryover to anything else? Or?
Exactly. You can also use an IFC certification, which will cost $2,000. They will accept that also, which again brings into like the question of like, well then why do I need to undergo this super expensive special Healthy Gamer coaching training if I can also just get this $2,000 one and still be hired. And then the last weird thing is there's a page advertising group coaching, and it says, who's this for? And one of the examples is anybody who wants to become a healthy gamer coach. You could go get group coaching and then I guess eventually work your way up to being a coach. It has a kind of pyramid scheme or MLM feel to it.
Gotcha.
That's it so far, pretty much.
I think the big thing to push here is that there is a much better way of doing the thing that Dr. K is trying to do.
Yes.
And doing it in a way that not just protects the patient's rights and allows them to have accountability, but also protects Dr. K and also gives a methodology to allow one to evaluate how effective it is. And there may be permutations of it to, optimize it and means test it. And while there may be more overhead in the short term, there may be a certain amount of, you may take more time. There may be another Reckful that, assuming you think that Reckful's life was prolonged. I know Max doesn't think that. He thinks shortened by Dr. K. But assuming there may be another, more people that may be missing out, but in the short term. But if you do believe in the net good, then having a structured system like this that does allow for means testing, it does allow for selecting the most optimal way of going about this in a research manner, is what probably would result in the most good.
Yeah, generally that's why the rules are written as they are, right? They aren't just written to arbitrarily fuck over people that want to do good. Usually they're protect patients generally.
Yeah, that's a good reframing of the net good argument as opposed to just applying it to Dr. K and seeing if we can... Is there a lens we can look through that gives Dr. K, like, an exception? Which people give him a lot of charity.
Because he so obviously has good intentions. Like, that's the...
Well, I think it's because it's not only the good intentions, though. I think it's like the obviously has good intentions... Oh my god, I'm so hoarse. Sorry. I think it's the obviously good intentions, but it's also probably the general inaccessibility of like mental health care, or like the kind of the mystification of it. Like generally, like if you have a broken bone, we know how to set a bone. If you've got like high blood pressure, there's a lot of things you do for high blood pressure, but like if you're sad or depressed or if you just don't know what to do with your life, like there's a lot of like mysticism, not mysticism, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of confusion around this, or people don't know what to do, or like where to find help. So he probably gets a lot of leeway there as well, I would imagine, right? Not saying that it's good or bad. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's bringing it to your doorstep in a way where.
Yeah, basically in a way that
people are less likely to go out looking for it. But and like Reckful, if it's gonna plop into his lap, then he's more likely to say, "Okay, I guess I'll talk to this guy." Avi, what % chance do you think that his license is getting revoked?
I already answered this question. I don't like.
You answered it before I made the video.
Yeah. No, I think my answer has not really changed. I think there's a low chance that his license will be revoked. If I was a betting man, I'd bet against it.
What percent?
I'd probably put it maybe 5%. Maybe. It's not gonna. I would be surprised if it happens.
Sounds like it.
I mean, it all comes down to, honestly, I think that you're right, that he's fucked up. So the question comes down to how much perseverance will you have, Max? Because it all comes down to you. Like, are you gonna just like in a few months, if nothing happens, you're gonna say, "Fuck it, what can I do?" The fucking board doesn't care. Like that's the end. Is that the end for you, or will you say, "No, I will fucking make this my mission in life, and I will continue going until I die, telling anyone who listens about it."
If the board gives him a reprimand and has some explanation for. If the board gives him a reprimand and tells him to stop,
that has a higher likelihood of happening. Okay, that I'm going to be more.
My money would be on, if there was going to be action, it would be a reprimand, and it would be like a list of demands for like, you have to reform it in this way. I don't think it would be a full stop thing. Not if he has 100 people working for him. I think it would be like, these are the like things you need to put in place. You've got like this much time to do it.
Yeah, but no more interviews. No more fuzzy interviews.
Yeah, I'd probably put that in a range of maybe 20 to 30%.
Oh boy.
So these guys think like 70% chance or above that literally nothing happens, that he just continues going on and things like that. But you know what? I'll go, from what I know about you, I put it higher. I mean, but it all depends on you, unironically, because you're the only one driving it. So if yours like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel pretty driven and getting as many lawyers, journalists, fellow musicians, as many fucking people as I can on board with this. So, yeah.
So yeah, I would.
Yeah, I mean, it's a self-fulfilling bet there. You'll have we'll try to tick the percentages up the further you go.
That's right.
Well, if he sticks with what he's saying, if he becomes like this fucking laser focused, this is his mission in life outside of, you know, his job, then it's like it goes well past 50%. Something has to happen.
Well, look, I think that if he sticks to it and perseveres and he plays all the cards right, then I think maybe what you can squeeze out is a reprimand and maybe some action items, and that's good. If you can get that done, I'd be happy. I know you wouldn't be happy with that. You'd strive far for more, and you'd consider that a loss, Max. But
actually, what would you do? Well, let's take this back a step. Okay, let's Cyberpunk year 2022, month April 1st. The Massachusetts board has just released a statement saying that what Dr. K did was bad. He's been reprimanded. He's been told that moving forward, he can only have one session per patient. He can't do it more than once, and he has to have clear guidelines set and legal shit signed beforehand. Does that end your battle?
Everything else is allowed to stay the same. He can still be a Twitch streamer. He can still have an audience throwing money in. Everything else is fine.
I mean, what are
they're called patients? No, I don't think so. I think I would need to. I would complain to whoever you complain to about the board's decision. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I don't get, Max, is the idea that there's nothing that Dr. K could change about himself.
I know.
And there's absolutely nothing he can say. We went over this, but
yes.
I don't get.
He's crossed the Rubicon. Why?
And there's no. Why is there a Rubicon that can never be uncrossed?
I just think there has to be a line in the sand. Look, I think getting your license revoked is something that should happen to some people. And I just don't.
Licenses can be reinstated, right? Like, even if a license is revoked, it could be reinstated. That there's people who have licenses have had their licenses.
Actually, wait, this is a
that's fine. I just think revocation is a punishment that should be handed out to some people, and if it's handed out to anybody, I think Dr. K should be one of those people because of his flagrant.
You don't just want revocation. He wants it to be permanent, reinstated. Yeah, he wants it permanent. That's the thing.
Do you want it permanent?
Yes, I want his license permanently revoked. I think he's shown a flagrant disregard for the health and safety of the populace. He is a public health emergency. He is actively sabotaging the relationship between people and the population and trust in medical ethics. And he's doing this intentionally.
You don't think there's any...
He's rolling his eyes at the idea of medical ethics to try to convince hundreds of thousands of people that they should not apply to him and that the people who made the rules are too old and out of touch to understand that whatever Dr. K does is okay and that he should be able to operate without oversight.
So you don't think
someone's fucking dead.
You don't think he can be reformed?
I don't care if he can be reformed.
No, Dan, you're missing it. Wait. It's not that he doesn't think he could be reformed. It's not just that. It's that even if he was reformed, he would even if he was a completely different Dr. K, it's just he has the same body.
Wait, but how do you feel about I guess
Get a different job.
So do people that murder people and go to jail and get out, should they not be able to go? If you murder someone, do you just have life in jail no matter what?
No, absolutely not. I'm not pro jail. If you murder somebody though, you probably shouldn't be the head of a mental health coaching organization and a psychiatrist. So I think we have different scales of like I'm not saying his license should be revoked to punish him. It's not about hurting him. It's about protecting people from him.
But what about if you knew 100%? You got inside his mind, and not only was he reformed and saw the errors in his ways,
it still harms the public trust in medical ethics to allow him to continue to practice. It's still bad for the population.
Even if that wasn't true, you would see. Why do you keep doing this, Max? Because I know that even if that excuse wasn't true, you'd still be against it. Like, let's just say we stipulated that it wouldn't harm the public trust in medicine. Let's just say we just had a crystal ball.
He's never going to hurt him. No, yeah, you're trying to find out if there is a kernel of just pure hatred at the center of this, and there isn't. Not that I'm aware of. No. If you go through and you address all of my concerns, then yes, that's fine. He can keep his license. He can be a billionaire. He can be the most famous person on Twitch if somehow he is going to follow ethics rules and it is not going to harm public faith and medical ethics, and it is not going to send anybody the message. Anyone else, like, you can go rogue. No one else is going to get hurt. No one else is going to die. Like, sure, but that's not reality.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's like a weird question. If an unknown person, started doing a show on Twitch where I did therapy, and I introduced myself as, Dr. Smith, and I said I was Harvard trained, but I was just lying, and I wasn't Harvard trained, and I wasn't a doctor, would that be, I don't want to say wrong morally, but would it be wrong legally for me to do therapy sessions and do everything he did? Yes. Considering I never took the oath. I'm not being held to a standard.
You can't say you're doing therapy if you're not doing therapy. Then you're practicing unlicensed therapy or unlicensed medicine.
Is that a thing? I'm
yes.
being naive here.
You can't do that. You can't. You think I could open up? You think I could just open a clinic and start doing mammograms and just say I'm
okay? No, but no, I don't. I didn't know that, like,
it's against the law.
Okay, so what I didn't know is that the act of giving therapy. What if I call it not therapy? What about if someone's having a hard time?
You can call it life coaching. Yeah, it's legal to do therapy. Call it life coaching. Yeah, absolutely, you can do that. But the word doctor and therapy carry legal consequences with them. There's certain things like lawyer. You can't say I'm a lawyer if you're not. At a certain point, you're breaking the law.
It's harder with the life coaching therapy distinction to enforce anything like that if someone is clearly in the therapy zone or as opposed
none of us are really that qualified to talk about this. Dan, don't you have a friend who isn't she way more qualified? I think she's done with a master's program. For psychologist related.
Whoa! I know. Wait, this is someone that you had like a really strong relationship with, right?
Yeah, don't you have an ongoing thing? Is there?
No. This is I know who you're
your
talking
friend
about.
might be figuring out.
No. This is a person.
They might have.
You guys are gonna be together.
Oh my God, they are here, and they're watching the video right now. They're watching the video right now.
You guys are gonna be together, right?
Yeah,
together.
Maybe this would be a good person to.
Oh no.
You think?
Yeah, I think why not?
Dan has a friend. She has a master's. I think he even has some clinical experience at this point. Doesn't she?
I know how this works. You know how you beat Steve, Mr. Girl? I can't give away too many secrets, but just to say.
Why are you so hesitant to bring on?
I want to know how to beat Steve.
Well, you take off your headphones when he's talking. If he can't talk over you, he loses half the time.
That's cheating.
What? Are you saying you just can't stand to hear the truth that I'm saying?
No, because you
remove your headphones.
So loud, I can't fucking hear myself think. You're just fucking saying your nonsense.
That's the sound of the truth ricocheting off the empty cavern of your skull.
No, it's not. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And your fucking strategy isn't working with Anna, by the way, because I'll tell you what, every fucking day, I'm gonna go in there with an alt account and be like, oh, hey, are you the fucking crazy stalker? And it'll never end for you, okay? So your strategy is shit. I'm gonna cause that loop going every day. Yeah, if I can cause you pain with this because of League, it's worth it. Stop with League, I'll stop doing it. That's how we do it. Anyways.
really bad, huh?
What we're talking about is truly a weapon that can surpass Metal Gear. Just leave it there. What? What?
Avi, in your experience, if you have a blurry relationship and that's what you're being punished for, is the punishment more severe if you have 150 blurry relationships?
Yeah, I mean, I have any experience with blurry with what you're talking about.
I should hope not.
Like, it was a loaded question, but
yeah. Sorry,
no,
not in your experience, in your understanding.
In my understanding, if you're a 50-time offender, then sure. It's gonna look a lot worse.
How many days growth is your beard right now? If you had to start from scratch to get to the point where you're at right now.
3 days.
All right, so we're gonna play fucking jokes over here.
Yeah, we're gonna tell jokes.
I can tell you. Facial.
Wait, I can tell you.
He's like really insecure about that.
Yeah. Oh wait, I can remember when I shaved it. It was after my last project. I think it was right before I met you, Steven. I think it was late December. I think this is like 2 months.
Wait, your current beard is 2 months of growth?
I think so. Maybe 2.5. Is it longer? I don't think so. I think it grows pretty fast.
What do you think about doing a response video to Dr. K's video?
I don't think it's a good idea. I think Dr. K's video is not a response to my video, so responding back, like I think my video is really concise and really strong, and I think it weakens my case to say like, no, but look at this point again, look at that point again. Like, I could take everything he says and then match it up with a clip showing that he's not actually addressing what he means, but I think he's preaching to the choir at this point. I don't think his video is very compelling to anybody who's like objectively watched both. So I think if you're in love with Dr. K, my video falls flat. If you already agree with me, my video falls really flat. I just don't think he's given me much to respond to, which might be his intention. Like, if what he's trying to do is just try to like conserve sentiment among his ardent supporters, like he's kind of got me there. I don't think that there's anything I can do about that. I think that they will only start rethinking this once like the adults come in and start hitting him with sanctions. If he loses his Twitch sponsorship, if he gets charged with a crime, if he gets sued, something like that.
I was looking forward to an actual, I mean, his video really sucked. I was looking forward to an actual response, like, okay, well, what's, like, when he had a section titled, like, is what we do therapy, why does it look like therapy? And I was
looking forward
to it. It's like, yeah, there's no answer. It's just like, the answer is basically, well, it's not therapy, and it's not therapy because therapy has strict regulations, and, where I haven't established doctor-patient relationship.
It's just gaslighting. It's a weird gaslighting thing to say you're answering a question and then not answer it, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't want to get sucked into. That's the kind of shit where if somebody in my personal life said something like that, I would just say, well, I don't have anything to say to that. I tend to not respond to things that I think are like an empty gaslighting non-response. Because then you legitimize it as a response by responding back, and it's not. So I would rather just not let it sit.
That's probably the initial thought that Dr. K had about your video until it started getting more and more traction. Okay. If Dr. K's response video starts spreading?
I don't think so. I still might make a healthy gamer video. But if his response video starts, I don't see how it can. I guess I'm gonna say I'm very unlikely to respond to it because if it doesn't click with me as even being a response, I can't imagine it's gonna turn the tide with anybody who is kind of, as I said, more objective. So
is your time best spent fucking around with the healthy gamer shit, you think? when you could be doing the Dr. K stuff?
I don't think it's gonna take that much time. I think that like enlisting professionals who want to stop this has so far been pretty easy. So I think I'll just keep doing that, and then like, yeah, I have to spend a little time on it, but I think getting those balls rolling, there will be some downtime, and then it'll be like, is there enough interesting like dirt on Healthy Gamer that makes it warrant its own video, or is that going to be a distraction? Or I might just move on to another topic, and then just kind of like with the understanding that if and when something happens, I will report back.
I mean, I think the thought maybe is that if that stuff isn't strong, it kind of, I don't want to say it brings down your other stuff, but I guess it brings down your other stuff. Right? You're only as good as the last word, so to speak. And if you like put out a bunch of lukewarm shit about Healthy Gamer, maybe
right, exactly.
I don't want to say that, maybe it's better just to not have that.
Yeah, exactly. So I want people to know that. I mean, that could be something that happens later too. There's not like a rush on it, but I want people to know the door is open. I'm getting like tips and in DMs every day about Healthy Gamer from different people who work there, people who had bad experiences there, and like if it amounts to something, you know, worth reporting, then I will. And if not, then I think you're right. I don't. It also gives me. It makes me look like I'm just throwing whatever I can at him, and I don't want to do that. So I feel like since the last video was so strong, I might just let that stay.
Do you have any intention of making complaints to other places besides the Massachusetts one? Like, for instance, doing to the Texas?
Yeah, I think Texas and California. I'll talk to the. I guess I should ask the lawyer about that, but. It's much stronger if the person who went on the stream makes the complaint. So I am funneling those people to the malpractice lawyer, and so my hope.
Maybe you can get Steven.
That seems unlikely, but you know, yeah, Steven, if you end up feeling uncomfortable, with Dr.
I mean, you just think of it like
you can do. I can be like your fuck, is it Neiman? What's the name of the kid in Whiplash where they get him to report on Fletcher?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Exactly. Along this side.
Like you need a willing participant for the class action. Right? You need to have someone right there. So.
Well, and also it's probably way easier to allege wrongdoing like within the confines of that relationship rather than just having like an external third party doing it. Like the standing is going to be kind of weird, or there's probably a whole bunch of weird shit around that, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. I imagine the bar for them to act on a complaint from a third party is higher. Although if it's on behalf of a deceased person, I think they're definitely taking a look at it more seriously. But yeah.
You're a motivated guy. I like it. I look forward to watching this whole thing go down. Motivation is good.
I'm a motivated
Dan just likes
guy.
to shit stir. Don't let him.
No, it's not true. Do you know there's like 4 things of danger. Do you know what they are? It might be 5, but I think there's only 4. Alright, so number 1 is motivation. Does the person have a motivation to do something? Number 2 is the skill set. Do they have the skill to go out and cause damage and do everything? The third one is the resources. So, you know, someone with motivation and skills that has no ability to go do what they do. That's it. And then, what's the 4th one? I forgot what the 4th one is. But,
Panache.
No, it's not panache. I like that, though. Motivation, skill, resources, probably ability, I guess.
Can you inflict harm with flare?
You like ability. Yeah, I think ability is the 4th one. Do you have this you have the skills to actually go do it? Did I say
I think so. I think that's where some of the other people who've tried to hold Dr. K to account have fallen flat. I get the sense they don't really know how to just call somebody up on a psychology board and, you know, talk to them for 5 minutes and convince them to be in their video. I think that I do. I think I have a skill set of knowing how to talk to lawyers, journalists, and academics.
Yeah. So that's like that's the danger zone that you're in. You got it all. The ability to go do it and make a change for the better.
Yeah.
Send Dr. K down to fucking the Circle K, where he'll do his new job as the cashier or something. I don't know. What do you imagine him doing once he loses his job as a psychiatrist?
What do I fantasize about happening to him?
Yeah.
Nothing. I hope he has enough money to retire.
Because he's.
I don't want anything bad to happen to Dr. K. I just want him. I just want him to stop. I want him to stop exploiting.
You want him to stop exploiting people and have no opportunity to practice medicine. Just to be clear.
To me, Dr. K practicing medicine is Dr. K. I do not believe that he just wants to.
Okay. Is there anything that would change?
Well, let's look at it this way. I don't want to risk. I don't want to. No, probably not. I don't want to risk that he is not reformable in the way that he is. I don't want to take the risk tonight. And as I said, the other public health issues. Man, you really stick on this license thing.
I think it's well. Look, I mean, we had this conversation.
We did.
What I think is odd. Yeah, it's not like here's the thing. Here's what I think is more reasonable. I think it's more reasonable that you think, okay, listen, I have an assessment of him. He doesn't seem reformable. I don't want to risk his lack of reformability. That's a much more reasonable position than even if he was reformed. Like, I'm gonna find some I'm gonna reach for some societal reason of distrust in like the medical.
No, the societal.
Here's a weird catch-22. Shouldn't you actually hope that he keeps his medical license?
Why?
Because if he loses his medical license, doesn't that mean that he can continue to do the healthy gamer stuff now because there's no more ethics breach?
No, I don't.
He
I don't
just
know.
said because he can't practice therapy.
I would assume once you've been licensed and then you are unlicensed, if you're still calling yourself Dr. K and doing therapy.
Yeah, but he would just stop calling himself Dr. K. Now he'd say like, well, now I'm super just a life coach. You can tell because I don't have a license anymore.
I'm okay with that.
Oh.
If he, I mean, there's no rule.
Wait, hold on, wait. So if he did everything the exact same, but he just wasn't a doctor, would you be okay with it?
If he did everything the exact same and he just wasn't a doctor, would I be okay with it? I would make a video criticizing what he's doing, but I wouldn't appeal to any authority to shut him down. It would be in Steven Crowder territory.
Interesting.
I would say what you're doing is destructive.
Well, isn't it practicing therapy without a license? I thought you said that was against the law.
Yeah, if he was compliant with the law, if he didn't call it therapy, he was just like, I talk to people about their feelings on the stream, which I do. But if he did it in the way he's doing it, yeah, like I'm gonna see you weekly and we're gonna fix this. No, I wouldn't. That's fine. I might not like it, and I'd probably say like, hey, maybe you guys shouldn't listen to this guy because he's like a cult leader. But I wouldn't. No. It is about public health and protecting the field, protecting the idea of what therapy is. Like, as long as people know, oh, if I want to go to an actual therapist, I don't go to this motherfucker. I go to a real doctor. As long as that real doctor option is not being polluted and damaged by what he's doing, then yeah, that is a big part of it. Like, you know, you can laugh. You're the fucking doctor, Avi. You should be thankful that I'm willing to stand up for the fucking letters after your name.
Well, I think that the weird thing is that, I can't speak for Dr. Avi, but then the thing that feels kind of strange is so like, if it was an untrained person that had less training and had less of an idea of knowing what they were doing, it would actually be much better for you than somebody knowing more what they're doing.
How many conversations have you had with somebody who told you might have a personality disorder?
Well, I'm a bad person to ask.
No, seriously. I'm asking you, Steven. How many times?
A lot of people. Probably dozens of times.
How many times have you had? Can you remember them all? Okay.
But I'm
how many times have you had a conversation with a psychiatrist or psychologist? And do you think you would remember this? This is a doctor. You've spoken to them for.
What about a doctor in training?
You've spoken to them 4 times at length, spilling your guts to them, and they say that you might have a personality disorder.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would remember that one more.
You probably remember it for the rest of your fucking life. right? Like, it would be like, anytime that personality disorder gets mentioned, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the one I either have or might have. And it's like, so it's not, you're referring to the credentials like they're just like a little thing, but
no, it's not just a little thing. It's just kind of like the irony of like, if this person was less credentialed doing the exact same thing, you would be much more okay with it. It's just interesting. But it sounds like I'm trying to do a got you. But you could also argue on your end, well, yeah, of course, because with the greater license and everything comes greater level of responsibility. So of course,
exactly.
Right?
That is my argument. I don't think you're trying to do a got you. I just I want to be because Dr. K said the exact same thing. There's a clip of him saying that in my video where he's saying, like, well, isn't it weird that we, like, because I'm licensed, I'm not allowed to come on and do this? And it's like, the only fucking reason anybody's listening to you is because you're licensed. You're Dr. K.
I think there's a better response here. So I think, well, maybe you won't agree with me, but consider the simple response of saying, no, if someone was not qualified to do this, we also wouldn't want that to happen. If you are not qualified and you're clearly doing therapy and it's the type of therapist that a therapist is doing and you are not qualified, yeah, it is not less responsibility, but I don't even know if that's true. Like, maybe there's more responsibility because you clearly don't know what the fuck you're doing. And you have all these people that are in your hands. And
yeah, but it's not but that's like a life coach. Like, it's not that I don't think it's inherently unethical to be
That's different. Wait, don't say it's don't go to life coach, because no, we already established that there's some murkiness there, but there's a difference between a life coach and a therapist. Like, if you want to say, like, okay, what they're doing is a life coach, that's fine. Like, you want to say, all right, fine, but that's a different response.
If you're not using the word therapist,
they're a life coach.
What is the difference between what happens in a room in life coaching and what happens in a room in therapy? Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
So there's a gray area, but there's certain clear things. So, like, one thing we can say is diagnosis. We're giving.
Okay, I'm assuming in the example that we're not doing any diagnosing. So yeah, if Dr. K is diagnosing people, yeah, you can't diagnose people if you're not a doctor. My point is, if he followed the rules, but otherwise, if he did everything he's allowed to do as a life coach, he says, I'm going to talk to you about your childhood trauma. You're allowed to do that. I'm going to talk to you about your struggles. I'm going to give you advice on how to treat your depression. I'm not going to diagnose you with depression, but you said you're depressed, so I'm going to help you out with that. You're allowed to do all of that. And if Dr. K was doing all of these things with the same occasionally disastrous results, in my opinion, I would speak out against it, but I wouldn't be like, this man has to be stopped.
Yeah, it's not just diagnosis, by the way. There's other shit. But the point is that the response is just that, well, first of all, you're not doing all the exact same things. You're doing a lesser thing, which is why I should admit, not call it lesser, but you're doing a different thing, which is life coaching, which has different qualifications and different responsibilities, despite the gray areas. That's just, and if to the degree that you are qualified to do that, that's fine and that's great. And to the degree that you're not qualified to do it and doing it, it's not fine and not great. It's just such a simple, consistent response you can give.
I don't like to avoid a hypothetical. I don't like to sidestep.
Max doesn't believe in optics, okay? He doesn't believe in optics. He has to take the most brutal path possible.
That's right.
Wait, but wait.
You got to go through the pricker bush.
I don't like the charge of avoiding. There's no advantage of not avoiding a hypothetical on your.
If somebody asks you a yes or no question as a hypothetical, you better have a really fucking good reason for talking.
It super depends on what you're talking about.
I don't think it does.
Wait a minute. Would you fuck a 6-year-old if she had in her the mind of a 25-year-old?
No.
That's a perfect question.
Like, it's just like,
it's like, come on. No, let's play baseball, motherfucker. Keep them coming.
Would you masturbate to porn of a 6-year-old, or do you think people should be allowed to masturbate to porn of a 6-year-old if a 25-year-old mind is in her body?
Should be allowed to masturbate to it?
Should she be able to make child porn?
No, we had this debate. I said no.
Oh, did you? Wait, I thought you said yes.
No, I was
Oh no, Pisco was the one.
Yeah.
Look, there's nothing unfair.
Yeah, I think it's unfair to say, like, if you don't have a simple yes or no, you gotta talk. I mean, it depends. Super depends on hypothetical.
I think you better have a really good reason for starting to like. Well, what you need to understand, guys, is like I don't like that. I would rather just be wrong than be seen doing that. Honestly, I really don't like it.
Wait a minute. Hold on. like, all that was said here was that, listen, if you're, to the degree that you're doing something you're qualified to do, that's great. If you're not, then it's not great. What's the problem with that?
The hypothetical question is, if Dr. K did all the same things he's doing, but followed whatever rules he needs to follow to be allowed to do it, and he wasn't a doctor, would you be okay with it?
Oh, the answer is no, because he's not qualified to do the things that he's exactly doing, if that's the case. The answer would be no. I would just point out that if there's a disanalogy in what you're smuggling in, being like, oh, if it turns out he's just doing life coaching, then I would point out the disanalogy. But notice how I answered the question at the outset.
I think you gotta allow a little smuggling sometimes.
No, you have to point the smuggling out. What?
I don't think so.
If someone's
if I'm answering a hypothetical question and I say, well, this guy's got something in his pocket, but you know what, you can come in. I'll say, I'll take it. That's fine. And like, you know, if then you take it out of your pocket later, we can deal with it then.
I mean, isn't that just what I did? Like, I addressed the hypothetical, and then when I found out it was just the smuggle was just, oh, he's just doing coaching.
No, you evaded because in the hypothetical is baked into it. Because it's baked into it, the person is not going to do anything they're not allowed to do.
Oh, well then that's a simple, and okay.
He's doing all the exact same things, minus everything he's not legally allowed to do.
Okay, well then that is fine. And if he's not doing anything he's not legally allowed to do, including
well, yeah, it's easy for you to say it's fine. Yeah, sure. But if I'm, you're not on a fucking crusade against the guy. So the thing that it corners me into is having to say, is all of this just really about the license? Is this really about trust and psychology and psychiatry and doctors and shit? Is that really what all this is about? And like, I have to just say, yeah, it is.
All right. Well, with that, I think I'm gonna head to bed.
As well.
All right. So just to wrap up our agreements and disagreements. Okay. So I agree because I've been pushing back on you, Max. But I'll end on the things I agree with.
No thanks.
So I agree. Yeah. Just to
Sorry, things over. All right. Good night, Dan.
Yeah. No. Okay. So the strong points you have, on my view, is he's clearly failing to delineate boundaries when you're in a position where you really should do that. He's also not just doing that, but he's clearly doing therapy and the type of therapy that a psychiatrist does, and we wouldn't accept that without establishing a doctor-patient relationship in any other area. Also, the particulars of the therapy are kind of clear in some cases, but that's whatever.
You're drifting into disagreeing with me.
There's a much better way. Yeah. Okay. There's a much better way. Here's the key. There's a much better way of doing what he's trying to do. That's the key, and that is standing in the way of optimizing the benefit of what he brings to the table. Like, those are the key points you really want to hammer home. Notice how that also addresses but Dr. K is doing more good than harm, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's another way. He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to do it in a way that's harmful at all.
Yeah, and not even more precisely, he doesn't have to do it in a way that's suboptimal. There's a way of doing it that's far superior. It may have some harms to it. There may be some,
but it's not inherently harmful.
Hurdles.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the net, that's what we think will be the best option, and what seemingly is reasonable to think is the best option. Yeah, that's the key point to hammer on. Oh, and the conflicts of interest thing, that too. That's another.
Yeah, that little chestnut.
That little one with 100 subs.
They're probably not gonna. If he ever does talk to some IRB about this, they're probably not gonna say you should also be a Twitch streamer with your own chat donating money to while you're doing it. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm not sure on how the particulars are gonna to protect patient interests are gonna fall out, but there should be some sort of, at least there should be some sort of attempt to try. Well, that's the key. Like there should be some sort of way of doing this. By some sort of motion. And until that happens, it's just gonna continue the way it is. It's not going to be evaluated by anyone who's able to judge the efficacy of this. It's not. We're not going to have any ways of systematically assessing ways to improve it, and we're not going to have ways of being able to systematically get other people involved to do what he's doing to maximize the AOE, right? We could be putting extra points into the, maybe AOE HOTS or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, there you go.
Well, I think you're handling this guy with kid gloves, and you are really charitable. I know it's not because I know it's not because of Dr. K. It's just who you are.
I will tell you that I'm handling him in the way that you have the strongest criticisms that you could stand by. If you want the strongest case against him, I'm giving it to you. And if you don't want to sound like someone who's, gone off the rails to that ethics board, or that wherever you go to, I'm giving you that too.
Well, I appreciate your input, as always.
Yeah, for sure. This is the time where you don't break the stair.
Oh yeah, I did it already. I only do 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think I had 5 calls.
Oh. Well, how'd that go?
Some of them were a bit unstable. We had, I think, a pedophile-ish, pedophile adjacent. It went well.
Cool.
I think I was able to. My goal is usually just to convince everybody to go to therapy, and I think I did.
Everybody, you fixed. Congratulations.
I fixed 5 people today.
Okay, well, am I supposed to be contributing to this, or?
No.
Oh.
You are contributing.
Oh.
Sometimes clicks speak louder than words.
Do they? Okay.
Hey, Mr. Grill, no offense, but I don't really understand how your advice and confessions show is different from what Dr. said. I don't know. I'm always on the fence about whether I should keep doing it.
Well, I mean, it's clearly different. You're not. First of all, you're establishing a relationship with the person you're talking to. You're not cooperating between being a therapist and a non-therapist.
It's anonymous. It's focused only on their one question.
You're not diagnosing them. You're not therapizing them in a way a therapist would classically do. It's not continuous. It's not over the course of time. It's not on multiple episodes. Yeah, of course it's different. Yeah.
I try not to dig. probing question. It's my primary criticism of you. You're trying to exploit trauma for content. I guess. I don't know how specifically you want traumatized people to call it. I think usually the more trauma there is, yeah, I'm exploiting trauma. I'm not seeking to do it, but I am doing it. That's true.
That's just the nature. I mean, anything that's going to be more entertaining for your viewers is what you're going to be incentivized to do, whether you act on that or not.
That's true. Although I tell my mods to not let the really fucked up people on.
Okay, I'm gonna go live in my League of Legends box. I'll find a next one.
You too.
All right, we'll see you in 2 months.
It's fascinating to watch from the outside looking in, because you realize how disconnected the online world is from reality. You ask most people in reality, they'll be like, yeah, that's just not right. You ask these people who live in like little lefty bubbles,
Didn't say Simon Says.
and shit like that, and they're going to be convinced that this makes sense. There's a reason why most of the public is completely against it. And it always circles back to the same thing. It's like, you're always a transphobe.
Always.
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 Always. You're like, hey guys, the science doesn't really back what you guys say, transphobe.
If you question, you're transphobe.
Literally, when you argue with transphobes, the only argument they have is relying on what other people also feel about trans people, because it's a normative position to be fucking transphobic.
Good. Nice. Good argument.
Speaking of Hassan, he called me a transphobe today.
Yeah, we saw it.
So this happened to someone I know.
What?
They got banned from Twitch, the platform, for saying that they think it's not fair for trans women to be competing in women's sports.
Okay.
They got deplatformed.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so fascinating, because I watched the debate where it happened. I want you to watch some of the things that the other people who didn't get banned said.
The trans athlete is going to do a lot to like foster a lot of really bad will against like trans people in general. I think it's a really good turf argument for, well, look, these people just want to destroy women's space.
Who gives a fuck if women can't compete at the top level?
Sounds completely reasonable to me. And if it eliminates women's spaces from sports and makes it so that, I mean, keep in mind, it'd be eliminating men's spaces from sports as well, and I have absolutely no issue with that. The turfs are completely right. I do want to actually get rid of gendered spaces in the sports arena, and that they are 100% right. And I don't base my opinions off of what the most radical turfs, fear that I'm going to do.
What the fuck did you say?
Honestly, this whole thing was kind of crazy. These people were really sitting up here talking about it's perfectly acceptable to eliminate women's spaces. They know it eliminates women's spaces, and they're for that.
Where do I go?
They're not even the trans men that were saying that. I believe.
Trans woman.
No.
They're like, yo, whatever space that females were supposed to have, we don't care. Get rid of them.
That's them.
And even if trans women, specifically because they are in like the starting process of their transition or whatever, have significant competitive advantages. Let's say they do. In 99% of the instances, they don't. There's plenty of empirical evidence to suggest that they don't. But even if they do, it does not matter. It does not matter because it's not unnatural. It's not unnatural to be trans. It's not unnatural to be trans, unless you think it's unnatural to be trans, in which case you are transphobic. That's it.
Damn.
That's the take.
Got it. Okay. Well, you got me. Yeah.
Hormone therapy, all this stuff, all of it's very natural. Taking puberty blockers or like hormone blockers, taking all this stuff, perfectly natural. None of these folks can get banned. When someone says, hey, this thing is unethical, it's not fair, it's not right, you get banned. It's fascinating to watch from the outside looking in, because you realize how disconnected the online world is from reality. You ask most people in reality, they'll be like, yeah, that's just not right. You ask these people living in like little lefty bubbles,
Didn't say Simon Says.
and they're going to be convinced that this shit makes sense. There's a reason why most of the public is completely against it. But these people, they live in cuckoo land. They make no sense.
It's a
He really said that transitioning is natural. It's not. I'm not saying that this gender dysphoria is not natural. That's not what we're talking about. Transitioning is nothing natural.
It's like saying that taking steroids is natural. It's not.
That's what trans men have to do.
Wanting to be big. I mean, it's there. It's a feeling that you have. It's there. It's there.
Is there a dungeon to the west or the northeast? Why are people saying two different places?
But that's not the definition of what natural is.
You know, some dude, I think his name is Derek. He does this channel called More Plates, More Dates. Basically talks about like people's cycles, what they use, how they get bigger. He understands the whole cycle.
Yeah.
So he's breaking this down.
Yeah.
And he was explaining that Leah Thomas, when she had to transition for like the 12 months beforehand, the levels that she had to reach for her test levels, okay? Like the milliliters that she had to reach were like 6 times higher than what the average cis woman has to reach. Meaning, even when she meets the threshold that the governing body set up, it literally makes no sense because it's still 6 times higher than what women have to do. And even the testing thing, you know how USADA for UFC is like super strict, they come watch you do the whole process? With this one, it's loosey-goosey. So you can cheat it super easily. There is very little oversight when it comes to it. He was exploiting the whole thing because he breaks it down. He breaks down the milliliters, he understands the science. And I was just like, nigga, I thought this shit was black.
Wait, I should just look this up. So I thought I read somewhere that the Olympic guidelines was like 288. Is it nanoliters per milligram? There's no way that's right? That was NCAA? 250 nanograms per deciliter? There's no way that's what it actually is, right? Olympic guidelines, T levels, trans. Oh, nanomoles per liter, I should say. Wait, I thought the normal T levels per woman was like 15 to 75, or 70. Or is that using a different measurement? Oh no, nanograms versus nanomoles. Fuck! Okay. It's about 50 to 70 nanograms, 0.5 to 2.4 nanomoles. So this is like the reference range for women, but trans women have to be kept at 10 or lower. That's insane. Why?
Science, it's not. You know how long they have to do the whole, like, bringing down their hormone levels? 12 months. That means they trade their entire lives, their teenage puberty, all that stuff, one gender, get all the benefits, the recovery of testosterone, all this stuff, being a male. And then they
Why are we talking about more trans shit? Who wanted me to watch this video? Fuck you guys.
Meaning their testes are still producing. Do you understand? And they think this shit's evil.
Bah, on est rendu là, quoi.
I don't know. I learned some stuff like in terms of like the actual technical breakdown that really fascinated me because I was like, it's like that.
This subject is really getting to you.
What do you mean?
Oh, we've been talking about this stuff.
To me, it's not even about the whole sports thing. Now it's like about everything else surrounding.
True.
You get what I'm saying? And it's like, motherfuckers are getting banned for just saying the truth. Yeah. So now
it's by the coast.
It's another layer. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Lung capacity is actually mostly related to height, and like Ashley said earlier, is only really important for super high endurance sports. No, hold on, when it comes to lung capacity and bone density, it's not, unless you're talking about super endurance sports, it's never going to be the limiting factor.
What about height? What about height?
You can have tall women.
What about height? What about height?
You can have tall women.
When I watch these people saying they want to eliminate female spaces, they want to they don't care if they take the spot of somebody. If you were 17th, well, fuck you then, because you weren't even good enough to make it the top 16 to make it to the meet. So for a trans woman, it just fascinates me how quickly, like, the cause went from being supporting women to fuck women. You know what I'm saying? Jesus. Like, I remember for the last, like, 5-6 years, everything was about women's issues. Right? And like basically like females, and then trans women came over, and now it's just about trans women exclusively, and like female issues don't even matter anymore.
So basically, it comes down to this: if you're for trans right, you're misogynistic.
And it always circles back to the same thing. It's like you're always a transphobe.
Always.
You're like, hey guys, the science doesn't really back what you guys say. Transphobe.
If you question, you're transphobe.
Like I was watching people get compared to like them Hitler type dudes. For saying some of this stuff. I'm like, really?
Yo, like, example. Yo, what Will Smith did was wrong. He says, what Chris Rock did was wrong. Just
they're just using the words to shut it all down.
Just to shut it down. And you know, we've been through that, so that's why I'm not phased. It's gonna calm down. We'll come around or not.
Yeah, I'll link the debate in the link in the description below, so you guys can go watch how crazy it is and how like delusional some of these people are. They are just making shit up. At one point, one of them brings something up. They go like, yeah, these are all the. Someone's like, all right, well, listen, if you feel this way, we're all the trans men who are killing it. Since you feel like there's no difference, and you guys can, why aren't the trans men competing at this level? And then you know what she did? She brings up Mac Beggs, who's a wrestler, who's competing against, who's competing and winning. So I'm like, word, cool. Let me Google this. Mac Beggs is a female, born female, who's transitioning, competing against women, and taking testosterone.
Oh, wait. No, wait. Is that true?
So basically...
Wait, did I miss that? That trans male athlete that's being cited as a winner isn't competing against cis women as a trans male, right?
He's taking steroids.
I think they were forced to compete that way. Yeah, it wasn't by option, but it was because they weren't allowed to. Yeah. Wait, what the fuck? What just hit me?
Euless Trinity wrestler Mac Beggs is a champion once again. Today, in a dramatic finish, the transgender athlete defended his state title. It has been a long and controversial road for the senior. As News 8's Matt Howerton shows us, he's now focused on college and closing this chapter for good.
When their hands were raised, students who won state wrestling titles were met with thunderous applause, except for Mac Beggs.
I don't care. That match, I gave my all that match. You put
Sigma.
Me in front of anybody, I will wrestle you.
Beggs, a transgender wrestler from Euless Trinity, closed out his high school career Saturday with a second straight state title. In the final seconds of his match, he avoided a possible pinfall to win by decision. And people booed his success.
That's the Sigma.
Every time like I look through comments or people are saying the same thing, they're saying steroids. I mean, it just comes down to technique and who has the most heart.
Last year, a parent went to court to keep Beggs from wrestling in the female division. If you didn't know, Beggs is transitioning from a girl to a boy and takes testosterone. But it isn't against the rules because it's sanctioned by a doctor. And UIL policy says Beggs must wrestle girls because that's what his birth certificate says he is. It's a controversy Beggs will leave behind when he heads to college. He's hoping to wrestle out of state on a scholarship, and the NCAA will let him compete with men. But he's also dreaming for something bigger.
My focus is now to go not just NCAA, but go to the Olympics, train for the Olympics. 2020 and 2024.
Parents told us Beggs should have been wrestling boys all along or not wrestling at all. UIL officials have said publicly that they never got an official request.
Trans men are a really good Trans men serve as a foil to everybody. Trans men serve as a foil to crazy progressives that are like, oh, like everybody should be able to do what they want. And it's like, okay, well, are trans men ever going to be competitive? Oh, fuck them, I don't care. But trans men also serve as a really good foil to crazy conservatives when they're like, you need to go into the bathroom that you are born on your fucking birth certificate for. And then you show them like some big burly fucking hairy dude that's like, okay, well, this is a trans man. You want him in the bathroom with your daughter? And conservatives are like, conservatives will change their tune real fast. Like, get this freak out of my young daughter's bathroom. So I don't need that, right? Like, nobody's ready for the trans men. Yeah, do you want Buck Angel going into your daughter's bathroom? So silly. Let's just
from Beggs or his school to wrestle boys. Beggs' family contests it wouldn't have mattered and wants the state to take a fresh look at the rules.
I wanted to come out on top, and in my heart, I feel I am a champion.
If anything, all this teen wants is for students to be honored for what they've done and not judged by who they are.
Hey man, I'm gonna just leave you guys on this final note, and then because Preacher's already gone. Female spaces have an important place. I think trans women also need to be protected in their own right. But the way that you guys are going about destroying women's spaces, just like don't give a shit, I think is very, very telling. And I think if females feel some type of way and they really feel strongly, you guys should do it. For us, it's just a video topic. For you guys, it's your space. So I would recommend you guys to get up in arms about it, because at the end of the day, me and Preacher are never going to be as emotionally involved. I'm just looking at it on the outside like, these motherfuckers is crazy. For you guys, it's a larger issue. So that's all I'm going to say on the topic. Good?
Uh-oh.
Who the fuck is ABBA and Breach? It's not unnatural to be trans, unless you think it's unnatural to be trans, in which case you are transphobic. That's it. That's the take. I love the argument. I don't even need to see it.
Uh-oh.
I don't even need to see it to know what the argument is, which is going to be, and I'm going to tell you right now, the argument is probably going to be, no, it is unnatural to be trans. Because that's how it, literally, when you argue with fucking transphobes, the only argument they have is relying on what other people also feel about trans people, because it's the normative position to be fucking transphobic.
Good. Nice. Good argument.
Fucking 10-hour... I covered the shit for like 10 fucking hours, and they cut like 30 seconds and go, this is so stupid. Trans people are weird and unnatural. And then everyone's like, Pog! Fuck yeah!
That sounds great.
Dumbass. Abba and Preach were the ones that were DMCA for criticizing Fresh and Fit. Wait, what? Really? They're actually... I don't know anything about them.
Oh, shit. Wait, maybe I need a 180 real quick.
So they are actually not bad? What the fuck? Oh, but they said my C-word ban was good. Like,
oh, so they are bad? I can't hold nuanced position in head. They either totally bad or totally good. Can't think of them in any other way.
Why not watch it, assuming the argument at least? Because I made a fucking promise that I wasn't gonna engage with like idiotic, bad faith fucking
clout
debates,
seekers.
Okay, that's why. That's why.
I feel like they must do like 5 times the views as his fucking channel. Bro, I'm in the middle of a thing. Have some respect. These guys did 25 million views last month. Hassan did 6.
He called me a transphobe today.
Yeah, we saw it. He only watched like, I think he watched a whole like 10 seconds of your video.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. I was gleeful. Listen, when it comes to Shank's nephew, I don't know why he feels the need to like. I think my suspicion is that I think he's been targeted a lot by a lot of people, justly so in a lot of cases, I imagine. But I think when you get to be that big and you have that much criticism coming at you from every direction, even from your own community at times, I think it must like take a huge mental toll.
Nah, I think he's just really soft. I think his whole life he's been incredibly pampered, and he's not used to getting much pushback anywhere at all. Like he's kind of had everything handed to him. He's had like a pretty easy go at almost everything, so he's got a really hard time, I think, dealing with almost any criticism.
Fair, but you would also agree that he's pretty much grown very quickly.
Yeah, of course.
Right, and I think managing that kind of stuff while receiving so much.
Can you call me buddy?
It's like, I think when you go that mainstream, where you know your proudest moment is playing Among Us with AOC.
There are responses that I can see, but like he goes so much farther. Like this motherfucker will be in like YouTube comment sections, like mass downvoting posts with his fan base to get internet criticism removed in it. Like he had there was a video that we watched of his from some group called Context, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, because he's talking about how he had the original idea to combine games and politics, and he built everything on Twitch from the ground up. It was just funny to listen to him say that his whole career or whatever. And I know that initially, I think we watched a video on stream, and I'm sure some of my fans showed up in that video to make comments. Like he went through afterwards on his Discord and on Twitter, and like was having people like mass downvote or thumbs down or dislike comments that were showing up so that they wouldn't be there anymore. And he'll do that like on Reddit as well, where he'll have people go through sometimes like a bad post will show up about him and like public freak out, and he'll go through that Reddit post on stream, and he'll have his like fans mass downvote stuff, so he doesn't have to see any criticism. It's like unreal.
Yeah.
I think sorry, it's complex, not context, whatever.
Yeah, I think context. I think his response has been completely irrational, and I think been very poor in taste. I think his situation is also untenable, in that I don't think he can keep going the way he's going. It seems like it's taking a huge mental toll on him.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's eventually gonna blow up.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm here for it.
You hoping for the man's blow up?
Absolutely.
Thanks for the comment.
I mean, hey, if it leads to a moment like catharsis where there's maybe some humbling that happens, and I think it's always good. But
no, I just want to see him, so I don't think he'll be ever humbled. But yeah,
you don't think so? You don't think so?
No, absolutely
not. I get it. I mean, you guys got a long history together, so I guess for you it's a lot more personal. For me, when I heard him say like I'm a transphobe or whatever, I just kind of cringed and just laughed a little bit. But I don't know. I think with online content creators, especially ones that grow really quickly, I don't need being 31 and like having to handle it. I'm pretty good at it. I understand how to keep my distance from certain things and not be too involved in the response from millions of people. But I can tell he's not managing it well. So I think for him, it's just like, it's inevitable that he's going to blow up. But if you're hoping for it to be just terrible so he suffers, that's one response, I guess. I don't know. I think maybe it's because of the fact that I've seen how like insidious and a lot of this online stuff is, and I think for you it might be a little bit different because you seem to handle it a lot better than most people. But you would agree that your response to a lot of the following and all that stuff is very unique, right?
Yeah.
And so I am slightly sympathetic to content creators, online people, or just people who are really well known who don't seem to manage it really well, because I do think that for most human beings it's not easy to manage. It's not, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
It's very difficult, one. And two, oftentimes there's very little empathy from the public because they don't understand it, because they don't have to deal with it on a macro scale.
Yeah, of course.
And so I think generally I tend to be a little bit empathetic towards the content creators as a result, even if I dislike them. Like me personally, I find Hassan super corny. I think he's one of those like SJW types who thinks they're fighting for minorities but don't identify with him at all. You know, like I always find it super cringe when I hear like these SJW types like kind of say all this stuff. And just know like, so like minorities don't look at you and think like, oh, we want you fighting on our behalf. They cringe at you, you know? And so that's how I look at him.
Oh my God, dude, you don't even, I super hate Hassan, by the way, so I'm just like, obviously you know that. You said I dislike, I don't dislike him. Okay, so just to be clear that one of the funniest things this motherfucker ever said, because it's really important when you're like very woke and very SJW that you can always speak for like every minority, even though you never ever have these people as your friends, because they're usually too poor and they don't live in the cool places you want to go to. I remember that when it was like Bernie season, one of the funniest fucking things this guy said was, yeah, like when I go to my gym, have you ever heard of Equinox?
I live in a district that's most likely going to either vote for Biden or vote for Elizabeth Warren, okay? A lot of rich white gays here. A lot of rich white cis gays here. They all, and I go to establishments like Equinox, where I like to measure, and this is completely anecdotal, I like to measure the reaction that I get. You know who fucking stops me? No matter where I go, without a doubt. You know who fucking stops me? It's not the beautifully sculpted cis gay men, overwhelmingly white, at the Equinox gym when they see me wearing Bernie Sanders merch. It's the janitors. It's the cleaning people. Almost all of them Latino. They always stop me and they say, oh yeah, we're gonna vote for Bernie. We're gonna vote for Bernie. It's the fucking working class people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so expect like $300, $400 a month gym. He's like, when I go to Equinox, none of the white people that work out there, none of those guys like Bernie Sanders. But when I talk to the Hispanic people when I'm leaving, they're all big Bernie fans or whatever. And that shit was just the funniest shit in the fucking world when he fucking said. Oh shit, dude. I don't know. He's a guy. He's a character. Oh, the janitor. Yeah, I think he said, yeah.
I remember it was like 2014. No, it was like 2012. I used to have like dance practice at the university, and so I'd go there in like one of the open art section. And this is the first time I ever even encountered like some of these ideas. I didn't even know they existed, because if you didn't go to school, and at the time it wasn't that like relevant, nobody really knew about a lot of the social justice type topics. And so I would see these people, and like the stereotype of the colored hair and all that stuff was hilarious to me, and I would hear what they were talking about. And I remember just constantly like seeing the demographics of these groups traditionally.
Yeah.
And it was like exclusively white men and white women, but a lot of white women. With like weird looks to their fattened faces. And there may be like one or two minorities sprinkled in there. But I always thought it was funny because I always felt like their dialogue was so disconnected from the people they were trying to represent.
Sure.
Like you gave the example of the Hispanic and stuff like that. Like Hispanic voter turnout is like turning more and more right-wing,
conservative, yeah,
every year, right? I even talk to them sometimes, and you know, I talk to like these folks who are wanting to fight for black folks and all this other stuff. I'm like, how do you feel about their views on homosexuality?
Yeah, it gets real uncomfortable.
And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you don't know this?
Bro, the most racist Bernie fans when Bernie lost and he got like 2% of the black vote. Dude, that was the closest a lot of these people ever got to fucking saying the N-word. These low information voters, they just don't understand what's good for them. Oh man, were they fucking mad during some of those primaries. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the disconnect, right? Like intellectually, they see like the policies that Bernie has, and they're like, "Oh, well, it would be a huge benefit to the black folks." But it's like you don't understand like the community and how like voting actually works and who influences that. You don't understand like the power of the church in a lot of these areas and how that like influences voter turnout. You don't understand like just the more social policies that a lot of these people adopt in their personal lives and how they feel about a lot of things. They just don't know. So that's why I cringe at a lot of these like hyper left-leaning types who don't seem to have any connection to the communities that they're saying they're defending. Because I'm like, one, you don't speak for them. They don't feel identified by you. So two, it just feels like, you know, like you're using them as a shield to be able to say whatever the fuck you want to say.
Yeah.
And three, they're actually repulsed by it because you're the exact type of person that they don't want to associate with. So I don't know. I just think it's funny that these people always talk about like taking care of minorities and saving minorities and protecting them. I was like, well, they don't want you. They don't care about you. They don't identify with you. Well.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah.
Colleges are getting crazy these days.
Well, yeah. So the reason why you called me transphobe is because I said transitioning is unnatural. I said like, well, gender dysphoria, all this stuff, obviously very natural. But transitioning is unnatural. Is that a strange statement? I didn't even think that was controversial.
No, yeah, he's really stupid. He said a lot of really stupid things about trans stuff. He just doesn't know much about it. It's just kind of like the position of the week for him because he's like the woke bae or whatever shit.
Yeah, I find the whole discussion around transport so confusing for me sometimes because people are like, well, trans women are women. But it's like, yeah, we're not talking about their gender expression. This is about biology. This is about male and female sports, not about what you identify as. Like, I don't know why they keep saying stuff like that. And, you know, you said something I thought that was really important, and I think it's probably like the flashpoint, is that a lot of this stuff and the disingenuous arguments for this is what fuels the TERFs more than anything. Because they see these folks fighting so hard for something that's clearly wrong. And they see like the disingenuous ways, and so it makes you question their integrity in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
How can I trust anything you say when I just saw you vehemently defend that the sky is orange, and do so in the most manipulative and slimy ways possible, and at the expense of everyone? It's like and I have to fight that instinct all the time. You know what I'm saying? That kind of like tribalistic instinct where if you say one thing that's wrong, I don't throw your entire shit out the window.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah, and that's kind of some of the arguments that they've been making. Like that's always one of the things I stress is that like we're gonna argue for things. Like we have to like maintain some grasp on reality. Otherwise, people are gonna look at everything you say as crazy. But people are kind of like tossing everything out the window now. Yeah, we need more.
I'm not gonna lie to you though.
What?
This is one you're probably not gonna agree with me at all.
Oh yeah, let's go for it.
I had that exact same instinct. I don't even know if it's true. I didn't even research it. I haven't bothered to like look into it. But when they said they weren't letting black folks on trains in Ukraine, I was like, man, fuck them niggas. And
what do you mean by that?
Hey, I said that. I said, fuck them. I said, hey man, Russia take over, which is absolutely ignorant, right? But I can tell you this, that I, along with a lot of black folks went, yeah, choo-choo, nuclear war. Hey man, they should have let us on them trains, fuck them. That's how a lot of folks felt. And I understand that instinct. I 100% understand it, but again, I didn't really research it that deeply, so I don't know much more.
What do you mean? You just mean that like those people were probably like freeloaders and not like Ukrainian citizens trying to be refugees, or what do you mean? I'm trying to.
Well, listen, all I know about the reports and what I was seeing on CNN and a bunch of the news channels was that they weren't letting black folks on them trains.
Okay, I don't know where where that comes from. Because usually the conservative attack was that there was, oh, hold on, you're not talking about actual black people, are you? You're just.
Yeah, I'm talking about black people.
Oh, you are talking about black people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
They're not letting us on the trains.
Yeah, Chad is
Keep hating your life then. Working class
He's saying fuck Ukraine for not letting. Wait, hold on. Can you give me this take again? Hold on,
Okay,
start over. Yeah, hold on. I'm confused now.
Yeah. So essentially, they wouldn't let. Remember when they were doing trains to evacuate from Ukraine?
Yes. Yeah. The reports were that they weren't letting some black people on trains. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Even at the border, the Ukrainian border patrol will not let black folks get into Poland. Though despite the fact that some of them did manage to get into Poland, they were well received and they were well treated by the Polish people there. The border patrol for Ukraine was like being apparently terrible.
Yeah.
Can't confirm or deny, but it just seemed like all the news reports confirmed this. And so that was a thing for a while. And I'm saying, when I read that shit, I was like, fuck Ukraine. That's like the initial response that I had.
Oh, okay. I understand now. Gotcha, sure.
And everyone's like, oh man, fucking, what about nuclear war? It's gonna blow. I'm like, hey, bro, they should have let us home. It's like, it was so basic and primitive like that. And a lot of people had that take. So that's what I was saying. Is that more clear now?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. What say you to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's dumb. But I mean, I can empathize with you, sure.
No, go on. Please expand on the dumbness.
Well, you're being tribalistic as fuck, right? Is there anything else to say?
Okay.
I mean, I understand it, right? Like, yeah.
This is something I have an issue with. And this is something I think I understand the principle in that. I think if you want to be virtuous to any degree, you have to sometimes take out your own personal feelings out of a lot of these discussions in order to get to the root of whatever moral issue you're trying to uphold.
Sure.
So I understand that. I just have a tremendous hard time defending folks who I know see me as less than.
Yeah, I mean, I can empathize with that. The closest example that I've got for this is for the longest time, I've gone back and forth on this in my career, but like for a while, I didn't believe in deplatforming anyone. I thought that like every free speech is important, like we shouldn't ban conservatives, et cetera, like all that shit. That was like my stance for quite a while. And then when I got banned on things in like 2017, 2018 for random shit, when I started to get banned, I noticed a lot of these conservative motherfuckers that I were debating, they were like cheering me on. So eventually it got to the point where I was like, you know what? If these motherfuckers get banned, fuck them. I don't care. Because if I got banned, they wouldn't want me to get, they'd be fucking cheering it on. So fuck these guys. So I kind of like switched it. Nowadays I'm a little bit more mature. I'm like, yeah, okay, I understand, but fuck all these guys. It's part of the game, but we still shouldn't probably be banning people because we think that people are being mean or saying shit or whatever. But like that's an example of like a position that I kind of have like gone back and forth on depending upon how people are treating me at a given point in time.
Yeah.
So like when there are people that I fight with on Twitter and it's like, do I want anything to happen to these people? No, of course not. But like when they're on Twitter and shit, like cheering on, like, oh yeah, like we got his income, guys. We're taking out his job. It's like, okay, well, you know what? If you get hit by a fucking car, like, am I gonna celebrate? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how I feel about it later, but you're not doing yourself any favors and I sure as fuck aren't crying for you. Okay. So yeah, it gets hard. But one thing that's like really upsetting is people don't even when I say stuff like that, people are like, Destiny, that's like so evil. Like people have like come out like, here's something that's like really frustrating. And it's hard because this goes back kind of to what you said about Hassan, where it's like when you're a streamer, it's hard to complain about your problems because no one can empathize, right? Somebody tweets out, or no, not somebody tweets out. So I'm in my chat and somebody donates something along the lines of something like, I don't remember what it was exactly, but it's something like, oh, like, don't worry, like, this girl's gonna 41% herself soon anyway, or something, right? 41% is like it's like a mean reference to trans suicide statistics, right? Basically, the joke is that she's gonna kill herself because she's trans. So you come to the fact that in 30 years, this person will kill themselves? Jesus Christ. It's tempting to embrace the 41 jokes, but I'm trying to stay. I don't even know why at this point. I'm trying to stay above board. And the dono came through, and I think I laughed awkwardly a little bit. I was like, yeah, like, it's tempting to kind of like, it's tempting to get on that path, but I want to keep it above board. Like, I don't want to like go down that road, basically, is what I said.
Right.
And in my response to that, people clipped that thing as an example of me being ultra transphobic towards trans people. And the funny thing is that like, even at that, I think it's so weird because I can't make that comment without like, and even my community, some of my community is like, Destiny went too far. And it's like, okay, like let's take one quick break, all right? Like these motherfuckers, like, in a coordinated manner, just axed like over 100,000 a year of income for me and like knocked me off of like a platform that I've been building for 12 years. Like, do you really find it that unbelievable that I might get like a little bit psychopathic in terms of how I view these people? Like, I think most people would probably view it pretty similarly. I think that you could push a lot of people to say a lot worse with a lot less, okay? Slow the fuck down, you know?
Yeah, I understand what you were feeling in that moment, and I think when folks kind of do that whole clip of you, obviously you know why. I think it's a convenient thing because they have like audio, visual of you saying what you said. In regards to, so to them, it doesn't matter what the context is. So we can just kind of skip past that point. But it's completely understand. Like if I'm just looking at the greater context, yeah, it's something I felt my whole life, and I think it's something that you hear Black folks say all the time when it comes to like somebody being found racist and like or like having racist things and stuff like that, and they just want to throw them to the wolves. Like it's very difficult when people who don't show you any grace expect you to be their staunchest defenders.
Yeah,
it's very difficult, and human impulses, irrespective of whatever morals you want to have, like human impulses just aren't geared towards that. We all like a bit of revenge. We all like a bit of like in your fucking face, whether we want to believe it or not. None of us are the Saint Mary, so it's perfectly understandable. And to be fair, when I'm seeing this stuff in regards to transport, some of it does make you want to be like, man, fuck these people. But obviously you have to learn to fight that emotion as much as possible, because if you don't, then you're doing a disservice and you're encouraging the suffering of people who otherwise don't deserve it. So it's unfortunate. But I think the very mere fact that we are trying to fight these emotions is a good indication. It's a good indication of where we're trying to go as human beings and what we're trying to override, and like the human nature of us that we're trying to fight against. And I think that's something that should be applauded. That's something that should be highlighted when you see folks doing that. And I think it's probably what makes like law so appealing to me in some ways, is like when I hear about lawyers who defend vehemently even the worst people, I think the principle behind that is something I find really admirable.
Yeah, of course, it has to be, yeah. Oh
yeah,
god, there was a
because
stupid...
people get mad about that. They say like, "How dare you?"
Oh, dude, there was this stupid fuck streamer girl.
Thing.
There was this dumb fuck streamer girl once I remember on Twitter, and she's tweeting out like, "How could you possibly be a defense lawyer and defend some of these horrible people when you know they're guilty?" And it's like, what the fuck do you think the purpose of our entire fucking legal system is? Like, why would you say something so stupid? Yeah.
And I think it's such a beautiful thing, but folks can't understand it because they give into that impulse every day. They give into that kind of tribalistic impulse where like, nope, if it comes to this, then you go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And your whole community too. And it's easy to do that.
It's also really hard too when these people don't have to hold back at all. Like, because like I can't, there's like a million things that like for instance, if I said I was gonna stop talking about trans people, so you're fucking me up, okay? But when I'm dealing with trans people, I can't make fun of their image at all because it's almost always going to be transphobic, right? If I say anything about how you look, it's going to be transphobic. Just it will be. But like they can call me short, gnome, like fat, scrawny, whatever, white, cis, loser. Like they could bring out every single identity of mine and every single thing they want to dig into in order to like shit on me. And like if I accidentally, so like I'll call a lot of people like mentally ill is something I say. Sometimes when I call a trans person mentally ill, they're like, oh, you think transness is a mental illness, so you're being trans. It's like, fuck, Jesus. Like even my normal insults I'm not allowed to say against you guys without like getting like super fucked, you know? And it's like so frustrating. You've got to like fight in some ways with both hands tied behind your back while they're meanwhile like just guns blazing and getting cheered on the entire time for it, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like you know, if you imagine it like in an RPG sense, when you got a character creation screen, when you don't choose this, but let's say when you were assigned the race white, like the positives on that are pretty high. Like, you know, there's a lot of positives to it, but the downsides is like, you can't say shit online because yeah, like that's the downside of your race group. Okay. It's like you have a -2 to racial commentary. Okay. Right. But you have a +3 to like employability. All right. As a black man, I can get away with a lot more. You feel me? I could say a lot of stuff, and I dare some of these motherfuckers say something to me talking about oppression. I'd be like, stupid. Racial commentary +5. That's
sure. But even that plays out in such toxic ways. Dude, one of the funniest clips I've ever seen in my life happened kind of recently, where there was a there's a black guy on a panel talking to an Asian dude, and the black guy was like,
absolutely right. Do you believe that you have a different relationship with the social and political systems in society based on who you are? You are a white, I'm assuming middle class Asian American. white presenting, I should say. So you're white.
I'm white presenting?
Wait.
What?
A white presenting Asian.
What the heck?
Let me rephrase that. Can
you look at me right now? I can
simplify that for you. I can simplify that for you if that upset you.
Don't you understand that you have a different engagement with the criminal justice system? And the guy's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, because you're white. And then he was like, white presenting, I mean? A white presenting Asian guy? It's like, bro, what are you saying right now? Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, but he gets a pass to do that.
I guess. Like, he got away with it, obviously, I guess. But that's just...
What do you mean? He didn't get away with it. That's normal. Bruh, that's not getting away with it. That's normal.
Okay, listen, you can't call an Asian dude white when you're black, okay? That's...
I mean, you're Latino, and we call you white.
Okay, but I'm barely... I look white as fuck. I can get away with being white, okay?
Well, hey, listen. You say we can't say that, but I'm telling you, we can. I know because I got this character creation screen, bro. I can see my stats. Okay? I can say that. I can look at an Asian person as far as the criminal justice system goes. I can look at them and say, you're a white passing. I can say that.
Oh my God, dude.
Not getting away with it is normal.
We found your ultra progressive side. All right, here it is. This is what we were looking for. Okay.
Hey, it's not my ultra progressive side. I'm just telling you, it is what it is. Yeah. That's not my take. That's not my opinion. It is what it is. That's like saying, like, oh, fucking dwarves have a +2 to Constitution. Yay! It's not my opinion. It is what it is.
Okay, I see how it is.
Right. So when you say the black guy got away with saying that, it's not that they got away. Literally, he can get on national TV, he can get on CNN and say the Asian person's white passing, and most people will not bat an eye.
At least half the country of the U.S. would at least bat an eye for sure.
No, they bat an eye. You really think they would give a shit that a black man said an Asian person is white passing?
Well, yeah, I think because conservatives love Asian people. Yeah, they're the ideal minority group in the United States, right? For conservative people.
Fair. I mean, conservative people might be like, if it's political expedient for them, they might say some shit, but I don't think they would. To be honest with you, the whole take about like Asian people, facing a different reality than black folks or having a different experience with the justice system, I agree with that 150%.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it 100%, of course.
Yeah.
But I just to call an Asian guy white is just kind of funny to me. Wait, you're not in favor of the BIPOC shit, are you?
What's BIPOC? Is that like a biphobic or bi person of color?
No, it has nothing to do with bisexuals. I understand the confusion though, because it confuses you a long time. It stands for, so I guess black people wanted like their own thing because they didn't like being included with all the other minorities. So they made something called Black and Indigenous and Persons of Color. So it's basically, it's just a way to like bring like black and indigenous people out of like the minority group so that you wouldn't just call all of them like persons of color. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Who do you personally know that says that shit?
It was a big college thing, but I think it's fallen out of favor.
Who do you know that says that shit?
I don't know any fucking kids anymore, okay?
That's just not real.
I mean, it's real in college, just like that fucking Latinx shit was. Like, but it's younger people, right? It's not like people in my age group, I don't think.
I don't know. Even the Latinx stuff, like, you ask any Latin person, they're like, yo, don't call me that shit. They get offended.
Yeah, of course. Latin but like, this was like a big thing on college campuses. It was a big meme on like, it was enough that it was like part of the national conversation. Like people were talking about BIPOC shit. I feel like I've read this in some Canadian government fucking shit or whatever. It's like big corporate speak, like the Latinx shit. See some people in chat saying their college still does it. Like, yeah.
Listen, I'm probably gonna offend a large segment of your fan base, but if anyone's 20 and they have an opinion, I just barely listen.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the main reason why, like, whenever guys tell me, like, oh, I only want to date young women, and the reason why I can't is I can't listen to them talk. So for me personally, whenever these young people are saying a lot of this goofy ass shit, I'm like, bro, how old are you? Man, shut your ass up, okay? I'm not listening to none of that bullshit. So I hear Latinx, I hear BIPOC, I just roll my eyes and keep it pushing, because I'm like, this is not real, it's not going anywhere, and until I see this shit in the real world, I'm not buying into none of that. That's not to say that everything that happens on college campuses doesn't translate elsewhere, but I'm like, bitch, you're 20, shut your ass up. Nobody cares what you think, and they shouldn't, because what you just said may be one of the dumbest things I've heard so far. BIPOC? Bro, I want to go up to a black person and explain this shit. You know how fast they gonna roll their eyes at me?
Yeah, well.
Hey, man, black indigenous people of color, they be like, hey, man, why are we including the natives?
No, you can't.
What, you can't say natives?
No, I was going to say, well, you can't just be black people. It would just be black people. They had to bring one other group along with them, so. And natives are small enough a group that they won't take too much attention, so it's like the perfect group to align yourself with.
Maybe I'm unaware. Maybe you can fill me in. Is there like a secret alliance between black folks and natives that I'm unaware of?
No, there's not.
I hear that a lot. Black and indigenous people. I'm like, why are we ending indigenous people?
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine trans people today probably feel the same with like fucking xenogenders and like neo-pronouns and shit.
Whoa, what xenogenders?
Oh man, dude, I don't even. I said I was getting away. You don't want to know. I don't even want to explain it to you.
Hey man, I'm not gonna lie, man. You know what I was saying the other day? I said that I was saying this the other day. I don't know if you feel the same. It's like, listen, I might not fuck with a lot of this weird trans stuff, but some of it's got some fire names. Like I was saying this the other day. I said like Demon Mama's username is amazing. Like she might be a straight up loser, but her username needs to be redistributed because that is one of the best online usernames I've ever heard.
Yeah, Demon Mama?
Demon Mama is a fire username.
Okay.
You don't think so?
Maybe I'm just too poisoned by
No,
discourse.
like listen. Trans people may have whatever faults they got, but when it comes to choosing names and shit like that, xeno pronouns, like, bro, I don't even want a regular pronoun no more. Xeno pronoun sounds lit.
That's where you have like Fae, Fair, or whatever instead of he, him, or whatever. You get like Yeah,
like listen, I don't actually want to use it, but I'm just saying that the marketing of it is kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Xeno pronouns, but yeah, that's just my my hot take on that one.
I'm so curious.
It's
Do you
alright.
have a macro view of GME? Oh, okay. I understand now more what you were talking about.
Sorry.
No, what you're talking about is actually super interesting. What I was initially curious about was the idea that there was like big collusion between Robin Hood and Citadel and the closing the trade or whatever. You're talking about this other idea.
You immediately have to fight. There is absolutely zero question about that. Like, that is the biggest insult. And again, I didn't make these rules. I don't know why that's such a problem, but that is like, if there is any phrase you could say to somebody in prison that's fighting words, that's it.
Being careful not to say something you shouldn't or something stupid, but like, how do people find out in prison if you are an informant? Is that just like a foregone, like if you snitch or if you inform, everybody knows? Do some people hide it? How does it get leaked? Do the guards mention? Yeah, how does that go?
They would hand me a knife and be like, go stab this Mexican right now. You don't do it? Are you restreaming this, by the way?
Yeah, I'm streaming. Okay. Do you think the coronavirus will
What's up? How are you?
Well, I've been good. Just chugging along, same as always, more or less. How are you doing?
I'm good. Nothing special or new here. I mean, just getting used to
life on the outside.
Life, quote unquote, life on the outside. Yeah, I mean, there's life on the inside too. I think a lot of people don't appreciate that. It's not that different.
How much? I'm sure you get asked like a trillion questions about this. So you can always tell me to fuck off if there's something you want to talk about.
No, you're different.
Yeah, how much? When you're in, so are you in like a federal prison or what is the?
I was in a federal prison.
Do you have any access to outside world stuff at all, or like how much media are you allowed to consume, or what is that like?
So I'm just keeping an eye on something else I'm doing, so sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
We had TV, obviously. We had computers that had an ASCII email interface, so no copy paste, only ASCII characters, no web browsing, of course, just emailing pre-approved contacts. You had a limit of 30 contacts. That's really it.
Jesus. Are you guys all sharing like the same computer like Interstellar? Is there like email time for families or?
There was so you had an hour. You had at most an hour. I'm sorry, half an hour usually, actually. You had half an hour at a time. You had half an hour for every hour. So I was on the computer basically 30 minutes of every day. But there are things that interfere with that, like count time, all kinds of stuff like that.
Gotcha. I guess going in and coming out, if I had to ask, what was the, was something that was like surprising to you? And I guess like what was like, did you get anything positive out of it at all? Is there a silver lining or?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a silver lining. I did a program called RDAP, which was really helpful. It's gonna sound corny, because it's like this sort of like group therapy, psychological program and stuff like that. But I actually think we all could benefit from analyzing our faults and mistakes and personality issues that are holding us back. If you're a really high-performing individual, there's always parts of your life where you could improve, and it takes. The hardest thing in the world is to be critical of yourself and accept feedback and things like that. So, this was a really helpful program in kind of just getting a little bit more centered and focused on different things. Like meaning and purpose was the main message of the program, is finding your meaning and purpose. And I think I had that before, but I have an even better defined kind of perspective on that now, I think.
It's a little ironic, but it feels like the risk of being self-aggrandizing, I guess, that if you're a bit smarter even, it can be even harder sometimes to do anything in the therapy route because you're so confident that you have it all figured out and you're unwilling to look to anybody else for guidance or determination.
Exactly. It's that